welcome to the Invasion, session 80 of all things. I am Ryan, the GM. It is the 9th of February, 2022, and here are the players.
Good evening, my name is Alexander, and tonight I'll be playing Fleabite the Skaven, who's still pretty terrible at everything.
Evening, everyone. My name's Chris, and I'll be Keldrath, the Dragonborn monk, this evening, and I apologise for the delay.
And good evening from me, Colin, who will be playing Vanger, the Dwarven Cleric Druid.
Ta-ta. So, what is remember from last time?
Fleabite making his own emergency exit.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my other suggested titles is Holy Moly. I remember that. Got that written down.
I wonder why that didn't win.
We all went through a hole, which, with a bit of assistance from myself, Fleabite was able to make a wall above one of the shelves. And
You are welcome.
because in dark passageway leading to a very, very ancient sort of almost proto-primordial writing on it, sort of door, I should say, with almost sort of proto-primordial writing on it, which almost sounds redundant. And within found 5,
Yep.
as I recall,
Yep.
bodies.
The
One
5
for
elements.
each of the typical elements, plus one which appeared to be an illithid.
Yes. Yes.
Confirming that the 5th element, after all, is brains.
Yes. As opposed to love, that Lilo Dallas would have you believe. Yes. Anything?
Fleabite discovered very important that the windows in the library were fake.
Yes.
Which sort of led you to conclude that, that it was further within the mountain than it appeared, which was it was an interesting leap of logic, but it worked.
Yeah, Fleabite definitely thought it through that much. Alexander definitely thought it through that much.
I thought you did.
Credit where credit's due. Elsewhere, right, Alexander?
No, all the Fleabite, yes.
Yes. Anything else that we're...
I took a chance on How to Train Your Dragon, and it worked for us. Which the gods of the dice fell in our favour.
Yeah, Gembite also fell through the hole, making it much easier to traverse between, as the wall collapsed beneath it.
I didn't have to climb at all.
Yeah. Arguably the person that it's
Something
probably
tells me
easiest
that's
for.
going to prove to be conveniently elephant-sized.
I mean, if it's already a large creature size for a Gembite, then yeah, it's probably very conveniently elephant-sized. Oh, and I assume you mean Baru. Yeah. Everything? Yeah. I think so, from what my notes are.
Yeah.
The only addition would be we suspect 10th was waiting for us in a room.
Yes.
Because Vanger went in cat form too.
With his illithid radar.
Yeah.
Pretty good though. Pretty good
Oh,
use of spells. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So, let us have a look at our goals then. What be they?
I did open them up, I'm sure I did. Yes, I did.
I'll do it if you want.
Sure.
Or you can. Or anyone can.
I am unfussed who goes. Colin, go for it. Why not?
I was kind of a galaxy egg. Free the Baru from the Illithid. Ascertain relationship between Illithid and Baru leadership. I think we might have some helpful clues before us. Meet, spelled M-E-A-T,
Yeah.
theme. So we must dine with him.
I'll cook.
That's what they say. I don't know what I mean by that. Secure safe exit from Bar City. Well, maybe the dragon will be. Anyway, care for the dragon. This is Fleabites. I shouldn't start reading. You know, I'm just going to read them all.
Carry on.
Fleabite wants to care for the dragon until self-sufficient. Scored through. I want to obtain a suitable new staff. Keldrath is hoping to arrange a meeting with the Bureau Resistance leadership, assuming there is such a thing.
Yeah. So, with that in mind, let us jump back in. Also, keep your ideas churning through for the end of the session, since you do have a blank goal slot. Your general goals too. Right. So in this chamber, these 5 bodies, and the pedestal in the middle, the kind of almost altar-like, kind of fanciful pedestal, with a slightly, obviously sheepish gembite with its wing around Keldrath. What do you do?
Well,
Sniff the air.
Okay, for what?
Trying to establish if this place has been like disturbed in recent times.
I don't know if you could get that from sniffing the air, but like, you could roll investigate to have a look around, right?
That works for me.
Yeah, like, the only tracks you can see in here, like on the floor and stuff, like, seems to be what yous have made. Beyond that, there's nothing that looks like this place has been interfered in since it was like set, I guess, this way.
So something that came in that could fly.
Perhaps may waft.
bear with me when I find this button. I would like to do this.
Yes, we did discuss that last time. I'm glad that
Vanger peers suspiciously at the bodies.
Oh, the skepticism, but also the utility. Okay, cool. Let's see. Within 60 feet of you, undead. There are no signs of undead within 60 feet of you. Yes.
Okay.
And also, hello, Siren. Welcome.
Hey, Siren. I sort of expected as much.
Well, this clearly means the skeletons are still alive.
They're
Are they
undead?
described as skeletons?
No.
No.
I said bodies.
Cryogenics.
Yeah.
One might be very cryogenics, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to approach them closer for a better look.
Okay, now, which one you want to approach?
Earth. Earth seems like it would be the easiest to get a read on.
Yep, and remember, these are all like, I don't really want to get into angles, but they're greater than a 45, so like they're kind of slanted back the way as if resting, but they're not like standing up and they're not lying down, if that makes sense. They are definitely all at angles. These bodies and these kind of like almost trough is the wrong word, but you get what I mean, like almost kind of like shallow sarcophagi type thing with no covers to them. So they are all on display. Yes. Yeah, you can head over to the earth one.
And they're not gooey or anything like that.
No.
They are.
From what you can tell, they just look like people sleeping. Yeah, you can go over and
Can I do a little bit of investigation?
Sure.
Or medicine?
Depends
That would be a
what
good
you
way
after.
to find out if someone's dead. Any signs of dead? Signs of life, rather. Like,
Or I was potential cause of death would be a useful
also
follow-up.
that, if there is, such a thing.
Yeah, you could roll medicine if you wanted to have a look at them. Yeah.
It's not good, Ryan. It's not good. It's the worst it could be.
It is in fact pretty bad. But it just means it's inconclusive. They look like they should be able to just get up and walk around, but they clearly won't because they're clearly dead. There you go. There's what Vanguard gets. There's no signs of what killed them. However, do you want to roll an investigate anyway?
I'm always no. I don't want to roll.
Get them all out now. It's good.
Alas, that's not how it works. If only it were. Would that it were? Alas, it is not.
Oh dear. Okay, yeah, there's very little I can tell you about that.
I think Vanguard then is pretty much.
I will say that they all seem like they were buried well dressed. Let's put it that way. They all look like they were very important people of their day.
What can I get a rundown of the specific elements?
Yeah. So, earth, air, fire, water, and then the one that seemed to be warping the space in front of you.
Green.
Describe it as like the fisheye lens. Remember the pedestal had like all these little, kind of dishes with like the elements in them.
Kind of ironic that it's a fisheye lens, but like cephalopods are actually less fish-like than us.
Tadrath, do you have a question?
I was going to say, you said there was a table or something.
The pedestal in the middle,
Platform,
that's where all the elements are kind of like suspended. Yeah.
I'd like to investigate that. Have a little look around.
Yeah.
See what I can find. What would you like me to throw?
Investigation.
Investigate.
Yes, please.
Done.
Just shoot the pedestal. Yeah. Hey!
Wow,
Yeah.
that was too early.
So this like Vanguard's charged you up. That's what it is. Yeah, like as you're checking out, there's the pedestal in the middle is quite big and chunky, made of like the same material the door seems to be made of. On it there's various like carved like runes into it all. Each dish has like the elements suspended in it, but when you look close you realise they're not dishes. It's almost like kind of like wells, deep kind of black wells that you can't quite see into, but they're, there's nothing there to touch. So it's almost like something could go into it, for example. And then in the center, it seems like all 5 of these things seem to culminate in the center, where it looks like there's a compartment that may or may not open in the center of this pedestal. I will highlight how incredibly difficult that was to spot.
Okay.
Y'all look dead, but it's hard to say.
Have seen look of many that living look much more dead than these.
I love the visual of Fleabite saying that. They probably do look in better condition than Fleabite, to be fair.
Specifically the air one.
Okay.
Is there any like family resemblance to Adair?
No? Do you want to get maybe investigate around the air one?
Do I?
Yeah, do it.
Hey!
You have points to spend.
It's also pretty good, right? It's alright. 15.
That was actually fine. That was fine.
So, yeah, like, you look around the Air Genasi. Definitely seems to be, like, there's enough similarities, right? The bloodline of obviously Genasi blooded clearly is quite potent, right? But it doesn't seem to dilute too much through the years. We also notice something behind them. Something that catches Fleabite's eye. You'll need to move the body to get to it.
Oh, right, I see. So, like, in the sarcophagus.
Yeah.
Fleabite would probably make quite, like, an elaborate, like, sniffing at it on mechanical sense.
Okay, it smells of nitrogen. Does Fleabite know what nitrogen is?
Fleabite probably is aware of, like, ozone smell.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
Sure.
It's weird to think of like actual chemical elements coexisting with like the 4 elements.
Yeah. It is very odd.
then Fleabite would probably like point and be like, make the like a sniff sound, and then like after warp light, sort of point at behind the body to Vanguard, I guess.
Gembite's looking sheepish in the doorway and just like sniffing the air as well, and like takes that like 2 steps forward, as if, am I involved?
Smells like what? Sorry.
Like of when great warp lightning come straight from sky, yes.
I think he could figure out that means lightning. Just he did say lightning, so I think Vanguard would get that. Right. Yes. There is a distinctive smell. Vanguard sort of leans in slightly and takes a whiff.
Yeah. Definitely seems to be
Do you want me
something
to roll for
behind
that as well?
I mean, Fleabite spotted something behind the body. I don't
Yeah.
think there's much to roll for. There's mostly just, are
Yeah.
you going to move the body or not?
I don't think I'm going to make that decision unilaterally at the very least. Having presumably also smelled the ozone smell. So, do we think it's safe to remove these, or is it going to trigger some sort of reaction?
I think Fleabite will look at like the coffin, then at Vanguard, then just being in like a crypt and back at Vanguard, and all the general graviness of the place and back at Vanguard.
Points at Vanguard's character sheet that says grave cleric on it.
I feel like any of us that would make a unilateral decision, it would be.
Yeah, the priest amongst you, right? Yeah.
Well.
Also, the air body is female, just so you know. I don't think I've specified genders yet for any of them, but yeah.
Well, come this far, it would be foolish to back now. Not eager to interfere with whatever this is, but it's a strange. Sort of scratches his beard a second. Soft. It is a burial arrangement. That is. It's a strange one.
The dais. The dais. It looks like it needs to be filled. As though it represents the elements, but there's no elements here. Would what you found fit in the dais?
Only one way to find out, really, right?
Take a better look. Yeah.
There, the way, body.
Do we want to fill this up? Top this up?
I'm not entirely certain I want to find out, but to come here and not find out would also be a.
I think Fleabite will start to like. I was going to say gentle, but that just doesn't quite seem like it would be.
Okay.
And we'll probably just start reaching for the thing.
Okay, so I'm gonna move the body out of the way.
This is the entire body you need to move.
Yes.
So it's a big thing.
Yes.
Okay, and Fleabite will.
If you're gonna do that, allow me to help move the. If it is a body, allow me to help move them. I'll.
Gembite's head pokes in amongst you as well,
Be
just trying to be involved.
a little more cautious. And Vanguard would have sort of very gently eased the body out, sort of. On athletics?
No, like, are you actually working on this? I don't think you just need to worry too much about lifting.
Yeah,
and
I don't know, like how these are larger than he is. Like, granted,
Yeah.
a female Genasi is probably
a
not
female
that
air
much
genasi
larger.
is very light.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, then I'll sort of just carefully lift her over my shoulder. Does it feel like a dead weight?
I mean, yeah. Like if you've moved dead before, it definitely like there's
Oh, he will have. He
there doesn't
absolutely
seem
will
to be
have.
any like residual tension in the body.
Yeah.
But it's also
Well,
like
I mean,
it
that'd
does seem to
probably
be
be fine.
perfectly like preserved, right? As well as the weird thing.
Yeah, as I'm sort of doing that, will be. Yeah, my apologies for interrupting your rest. You'll probably see that in Primordial as well.
Yeah, like Gem bites over, sniffing at the body as well as you're like moving it. Just being curious. Sniffing away.
Can you get whatever that is, Fleabite?
Yeah, Fleabite will probably try um, lift whatever it is, with the assistance of Mage Hand, just to give it a little bit extra leverage.
Yeah, so you kind of lift out from the base of the kind of like, I guess, final bed, if you will. It's not really a coffin as such, there's no lid or anything to it, right? But yeah, like you lift it out and it's like essentially like about 5, maybe 6 foot long, like kind of spear or javelin looking thing. As soon as you touch it, you get a shock from it, and the thing sparks with lightning.
How strong of a shock are we talking? Like,
We're talking like a very unexpected static shock, right? As soon as you
okay.
make contact with it, enough for the thing to like wake up. If that were
What thing?
the javelin.
Fleabite probably would have dropped it, but like Mage Hand was probably helping keeping it like just from the shock, as it were.
Yeah.
And there's probably like Fleabite's hair standing on end. Well, sort of look at it in hand and claws. So next to Fleabite, it's probably quite long and
Yeah, like it's almost like twice you, right? Almost.
yeah.
Also, I will place the body carefully back.
Where there's no like ominous click, and then it rolls down like a big kind of minecart track.
That seemed.
Yeah, the dais shrinks like a little. Probably like look at Keldrath and think, fit where?
Well, there's a hole, a slot here for the air. If you want to risk it, if you want to try it, risk it.
Hold on. Do we? If there are more, do we get them all out at once, or do them one at a time? Is it?
There's 5 slots, so it would have to be one at a time.
I mean, not necessarily, right? I suppose if there was one slot, you'd have to do it one at a time. If there's 5, you could chuck them all in together.
Yeah.
That isn't a clue, that's just logic.
No, I'm just thinking distance apart. I'm not sure of the distance apart.
Like the dais is smaller than like a kind of rounded, an average-sized rounded dining table.
Okay.
I think you said the whole room wasn't actually that big.
Yeah, it's not that big a room at all. Like, Gembite being in here means you just can't get out, right? Like, because it's stuck in the doorway. I just mean in terms of, like, you could squeeze past him. Obviously, it's just awkward. It's not that big a place at all.
Just by eye, does it look like it would line up with the slot?
I mean, if you're asking, can you drop the javelin into like the space? Probably, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
If the space goes further than what your eye can see, because remember you see darkness, not a surface to what looked like it was a dish initially. So you could go up and touch the so-called dark dish if you want, Fleabite.
I don't know. I'm okay with just holding a spear right now.
Okay.
Things go sideways. Got a spear.
Well, a javelin, but yeah, sure.
Things go spearways. Got a sight.
Okay. What do you do then? You're holding a javelin that's like sparking with electricity. What's the next plan? I love how cautious everybody is.
Yeah. It's whether we drop this one in first or go and get the others, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think we check, surely. Just make sure that there's something else is with the others. Like, that's the easy first step. If we make all these plans and then we check the body and there's nothing in the next body, there's nothing there.
Well,
Or we
in
roll
goes the
so
body.
badly- we roll so badly, we just check the air one again.
Wait, they're all here. Oh dear.
That makes sense. So I'll check the sides of the room then,
Okay.
whichever they may be.
I don't know. Pick an element. Like air's done.
Um,
So
I'm going to leave Earth to Vanguard. Just kind of makes sense.
Okay.
So I will take fire and water then.
Ready, keeping for the dragon?
I'm staying away from 10th. Let me put it that way. Oh, the elected.
I mean, you could make an argument for it. Dragons are.
yeah. Okay. What one do you want to go to first? Fire or war?
I think I'm going to go water first.
Okay. Yep. So it's another female. Okay. You head over there, and yeah. Do you want to look behind her as well?
Sure.
Yeah. Give me a.
Do you want?
Yeah, give me an investigate. Let's see how well you do. Okay, perfect. Yep. There's another box behind this one too. So you need to lift this one out.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's There's another box behind here. I'll go over and check fire, and then we'll help remove them.
Right. I'll check behind this. What was the Earth one?
Earth is male.
Earth is male. Behind
So is
this
fire.
chap.
So is fire.
And therefore I shall investigate.
Yeah, like I mean,
It's a 21.
Yeah. Yep. There's a big long, about maybe 5 foot again box behind that one too.
Yep. There's something in there. It looks like the same.
I'll move along to fire.
And you have a look. And yeah, same again. Like the investigates are very redundant when you are looking for something that you have kind of sussed already, right?
Yeah.
Like these are very
But
good.
it's still fun to roll for something.
I mean, yeah, roll anyway. Why
Uh,
not? There you go. Yep. So behind fire, there is a much smaller box. It's maybe only like a foot by a foot. This one.
They fit so much fire into it.
It's actually just like a really ornate Zippo lighter. The power of the fire. Yep.
I think Fleabite will go over to the illithid one.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Yeah.
I'll begin to move Earth while we're at that.
Sure. You will need to
Taking these
roll.
more-
Yeah. Like
substantial.
the other bodies will all need effort to move. It's just that Air Genasi was very light.
It's not great roll.
No, it's good enough though. It's good enough. A 10's fine.
Hey, my favourite kind of good.
Yep. So Fleabite, you want to try and like look around the illithid looking one? Okay. Yep. Again, another box. This one's maybe like, I don't know, 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters this time. Much smaller again.
Yeah, well, I think Fleabite will wait while they sort the others first.
Okay. So again, Earth's moved first.
Yeah, I'm at fire, so I'll take the fire one.
A roll of
We're on
athletics
here.
for me as well for that. So just to move that out the way.
Athletics. I don't understand why my athletics is so bad, but
Because your strength isn't.
no, exactly.
So yeah, you'll need help to move the fire one. So once Vangar's put down the earth one, are you gonna help him struggling, or are you gonna lift out the big 5 footish box?
Well, I would want to move the box first and then put the body back.
Sure. Yep.
In fact, I would probably want to sort of gently place the body down, then remove the box. pick it up, then put it back.
Right.
So it might take me a second.
Yep, you lift out the box and you open it up, and it seems to be a very ornate looking 5-foot staff. Who could have guessed?
Who could have guessed? You.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will remove it and set it aside.
Do you
and then I will
recognize,
put the body back.
you notice the engraving with your 21 investigate and stuff? There is, obviously, runes and stuff etched into this. Again, some of that kind of proto-primordial, like you were describing, as well. Enough that you can translate Staccato's Guardian from it.
Staccato's Guardian.
Yep.
Okay, that's interesting. Hold on a second. I want to have a wee look at the. Let me put this fella back in first, and I will pick up respectfully the Earth Jurassic and put him back in his place.
Okay.
Let me see the other staffs. I want to see are there runes? If there are runes, I think I can. I could read this one. I think I know what I'm doing.
And have a look at the Javelin Fleabite has.
If Fleabite will let me,
Yeah, I'm sure you can look with your eyes what Fleabite's holding.
Yeah, you don't have to point it so much. Yes, let me see.
Yeah.
What is it?
It says a Finger of the Storm.
Finger of the Storm. Wait, maybe that's the thing itself. Maybe that's her name. Who knows? This one is Guardian of Staccato.
Oh, Staccato's Guardian, yeah.
Staccato's Guardian, sorry. Well, you know what? Maybe the translation is.
Fleabite's doing it. Yes. Storm of fingers, yes.
I don't know why I went Yoda.
It's a very mild distinction between Fleabite and Yoda.
There's a fine line between Skaven and Yoda.
Single finger, you might say.
Keldrath, you do with a hand there. Hold on. And I prop the staff against the table, probably. The dais in the centre.
Yep.
Just prop it up.
And
do that thing where you put your hands out to something just as if to tell it not to fall over.
Yep.
And then turn my attention to Keldrath and his water person. His water genetic.
His fire person, right? That's what he's struggling
Fire,
with.
sorry.
Yep.
Water.
Fire, yeah.
Yep. So yeah.
Fire is.
While Vanger's making his way over to him, I'm going to look at over his shoulder at the staff and I said, "You were looking for a new staff, weren't you?"
Well, that would be. I would be disrespectful. I mean, it's buried with it. Sure, it was important. Probably had some symbolic importance. And there are rules.
So, and then I look at Fleablight cuddling the staff as the spear like he's just got a new toy.
Listen, don't expect to be as
like
good to
licking it as well, just getting shocks from it every so often. Tastes good.
I like the idea. I have him occasionally being surprised by the shocks, just forgetting them every so often. I don't think he's quite that dumb, though. To be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will go and help Keldrath then.
Yep. You can decide who's taking lead, and then you can get advantage. Yep.
What's your strength?
My strength is +1.
Mine's is -1. You win.
Okay, I'll lead. Hey, I've got a good solid vertical base on account of. And he does like a hand up to computer heights. I'll take the bulk of it. And if you just help me ease them out, it'll go nice and smoothly.
Perfect.
And therefore with advantage.
Yep. Hey. Yeah, and you move the fire mail out, and you take out the box, I assume, Keldrath.
I will do, yes.
Yeah. Let's say this one's much, much smaller. Then Vanguard, you've got to go and inspect for runes.
I was going to say I'll open it up and
body
let me have
back
a look.
first, obviously.
And pop the body back, and then I'll just
There you
assume he's
go.
finished that. Yeah, and while he's popping the body back for you, Caldrath, you open it up, and it seems to be like a kind of ornate kind of circlet that's in there.
Okay.
Any writing in that?
The answer is yes. Yep.
I will hand it over to him and let him have a little read.
It says,
And it says dun, 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 Wrath's Mantle.
Wrath's Mantle. Quite dramatic, I think.
Very.
Pass it back to him if you want something I like.
I'll walk over to the dais and I'll place it gently on the dais, close to fire but not touching, and then move round to the air, not water.
Yep, water. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that Fleabit. You're just
I'll-
still standing still, waiting on them being done. Yeah. Okay. Yep. You head over to water. Water is female.
I'll try an athletics roll first of all myself,
Sure.
see if it'll work. If not, we'll try again the other way. No.
I like that it is just
Vanger,
maybe you're too awkward around the dead. Maybe that's why you're like, is this impolite to hold?
Just like,
Yeah.
Vanger, could you give me a hand again? This is too awkward for me.
I'm sure they won't complain. Let me give you a hand here. This one shouldn't be too heavy.
The phrase I've got, like, I'm sure they won't complain. Fleabite's thought bubble, where he just tips the illithid over so it falls.
Yep. 19.
I like how in these rolls, obviously, because I say the advantage that like the second roll's the other person's like efforts. I always love how like even though you're helping him, it always does seem to imply it's his effort. Which I think's funny.
Yeah.
I can't do this, but if you're here, I could do it with moral support. It's good.
There we go.
Yeah, move right out of the way,
In there.
and yeah, again there is a, as I said, like maybe a 3.5 foot box in there as well.
I will gingerly remove it.
Pop the body back, I assume.
Yeah.
Yep. You open
I
it.
shall open the box and I shall let Vanger have a little look again.
I like that you open it up to Vanger. It's like, if raccoons jump out at me, they're your problem. So yeah, you open it up.
Do
and
raccoons exist? Anyway,
I mean,
now,
so yeah, you open it up and it's
what do we find?
it is a very, very chilly looking sword.
Well, that's interesting. You know what?
I was just
Were
going
you
to say I'll
gonna-
turn it around and flip it over to see if there's any writing on it again.
Yep, there is indeed. Vanger, if you get a wee nosy at that for me.
Yeah.
Yep, it's called Winter's Edge.
Winter's Edge. I'll pick it up for a second.
Yeah.
What's it like? Does it feel like is it a one-handed sword, a bastard sword?
It's like a longsword if we were going for mechanics, right?
Oh, it's now I'm not much for swords, but it's a bit of heft on it.
Could be held one-handed or two-handed. You can tell like these people have like large hands, so maybe it's more of a one-handed for them. But
Yeah,
they could.
that's what I was going to say.
They could put
Probably
two hands
be-
on them though, right? They could. It's definitely they are slightly bigger scale. They'd be like a medium 0.5 creature, right?
Probably a little more convenient for a genasi than it would be for myself. But yeah, it's quite a interesting. So we reckon these all slot in.
It looks like it. There's holes, 5 holes.
And so
Flea
far,
bite,
4 items, yep.
Yeah, flea bite. Have you found the other box? Is there another box there?
Yes, box here. Come, move, body.
Thank you, Siren, for all the inspiration.
Oh, thank you. I don't. I don't really how comfortable I am with this thing. Doesn't. Finger just stares at it.
Yeah, and it's probably like the longer you stare at it, the more uncomfortable it feels to look at it, right?
It's not right. There's something. I don't. I maybe the connection of these creatures to this world is far longer lasting than we thought. Maybe it reaches back to the beginning. Who can say? But I just look at it. It's hard to look at it. I'm not the only one seeing that, right? There's something off about it.
I think Fleablight will look at it, tilt the head, and probably say something along the lines of, "Not of your world, yes. Not mean. Not of any world." And we'll probably just go for it on its own and try to lift it.
Do you put the javelin down, or do you just? Because that could be a defibrillator if used incorrectly.
Be cautious with this though. Flea bite. It's
I'm going to turn to Gembite, and I'm
Okay.
going to say in Dragon, Gembite, if that thing moves, it's yours.
Kind of like cocks its head
Okay.
at you, and then just turns round and looks
but
at.
the rest of us don't understand it.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I think Fleabite will just like lean the javelin next to the sort of bed,
Okay. Yep.
and with a renewed sense of inspiration,
Yep. So you're gonna use one of the 3. Yeah.
I do.
Mhm.
And then like try and move it and mage hand the box from out. Wonder.
Sure.
I think that would be in the athletics. Yeah.
Yep. So you're kind of just trying to lift the body up enough to mage hand the box out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now you manage it. It's a bit like awkward. This is maybe, a heftier person, but yeah. Lift the box out. Again, very ornate. But as I said, only maybe 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters. This one, if that.
And I think Fleabite will open it.
Yeah, and inside seems to be a ring. There does seem to be runes on the ring.
So if you chuck it in the fire, if you put it on the fire,
Purely speculatively, is there narrative space that it would fit on like a tail of a certain creature?
I think for lack of my concern, sure. If you're willing to use your tail up as a, limb, I think that seems fine. There isn't really a 5th edition limit on how many rings you can wear, other than what you can attune to, right? So yeah,
I think for it, we'll just keep looking
it
at
does make your tail a more tasty target, though. That's all I will say in rebuttal. Okay.
Well, Fleabite, could I have a look at the ring?
I think Fleabite will.
Closes his box over, huddles it close to his chest.
We'll look at Vanguard, then look back at the Javelin, pick up the Javelin, and then motion to lift the ring up to Vanguard.
Take it. Thank you. I'll have a look. And I have a look. The ring, the runes, the rune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Rangurararu, it seems to translate as a singular word. Seclusion.
Okay, that's interesting. Seclusion.
Also, the Illithid is genderless. I assumed Jews understood that.
Are they?
Yeah.
I don't know that I know that.
I mean, for this scene, I don't care about other
Okay.
lore, but this scene they're genderless. They seem to have no
And-
defining characteristics.
Yeah, especially as much as any of us could tell.
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to wander over to the dial and I'm going to put the. What was it, the fire one?
the fire one was a circlet.
Circlet. That was already on there. So the water one was. I've lost this.
A sword.
A sword.
Yep.
I place the sword on the dais. Not in the hole,
Yeah.
just
Yep.
on the dais beside the hole.
Yep.
And make sure Fleabite sees me doing it. I'm making no claim to these. Fleabite.
And obviously the magic amongst you, mostly Vanger, mostly, and a bit of Fleabite.
Okay.
You will know that obviously if you wanted to learn anything more about these things, you'd need to spend like an hour identifying them.
Am I missing one from my Finger of the Storm, Wrath's Mantle, Winter's Edge, Seclusion? Was there one more?
So you get Fingers of the Storm, Staccato's Guardian, Wrath's
That was
Mantle,
it.
Staccato's Guardian, Wrath's Mantle, Seclusion, Winter's Edge.
We could perhaps spend time figuring out precisely what these are before we do whatever exactly this is with them.
Yeah, we're not in any hurry at the moment.
That we know of.
Yeah, until something happens or anything happens. So yeah, if that's what you want to do. While you're doing that, I'm going to have a little closer look at the dais as well and see if I can make sure I understand if it is going to work the way it seems to.
Okay.
So
Don't suppose you've got detect magic, do you, Finger?
can I roll against Arcana
No.
just to see if I can figure out anything else about the dais?
Yeah, you
The
can.
mechanics of it?
Sure. Yep. So, big dais, 5 seemingly
Lots of
like
holes.
bottomless pits. Yep, some like suspended elements above each of them, and a pile of what looks like fancy gear that you've piled up on top of it. Yeah. There are runes, obviously, as I said. I mentioned that before. There were runes on the dais. If Anger wants to attempt to translate them, he can do it.
If you point that out to me, because I don't think because he's probably looking at the staff again.
Well, I did point
Also
that
just
out initially. I did point that out initially about the.
Oh, right.
The
Well,
dice.
I would have.
It's just the
remembered
bodies were a
that.
bit more concerning, I think, for you guys immediately. That's-
While Keldras at that, I'll go over and join him and read them.
I mean, remember you do also have inspiration. You've got another 2.
Mhm.
Feel free to use them. Floating. If you want to try and give them a wee translate, you'll do.
Yeah. Would you like me to?
For you, history or arcana, depending on how you want to approach it.
So I want to use history, and I'll tell you why. Got a +5 in history.
Nice. And it's also what
Um,
you've been using, like for the door and stuff. So, hey.
Yeah. Makes
Okay. So yeah, this seems to be a.
Also, thank you, Siren.
Yeah.
Flying, drifting, levitating, advantage.
Orbiting. Yeah. We got one left of those, which is nice. Yeah. It pretty much translates to gain our greatest works, you must sacrifice our like dearest treasures. Something like that.
I think it means if we sacrifice all of these objects of power, presumably, maybe badges of office or station, then we may be able to gain access to something even greater.
Is of 5 treasures greater than of 1 work?
Well, it really depends what exactly it is. These, I'm sure, are likely very powerful, but what it might be beyond them.
It depends what you consider to be a greater treasure. You have a
Indeed.
spear and you have a ring. For you, Fleabite, what would be a greater treasure than them?
I think Fleabite gives you a look, but doesn't say anything.
It was
Probably a twitch, like the tail flicks from one side to the other, and like there's an eye like squint, but
We are all different. The greater treasure might be, we don't know.
it was a greater treasure to them, or at least to those who survived them.
So I said the translation implies their best work, like the best thing they have done, is what giving up these treasures that were precious to them will unlock. Right? Just in case I've misspoken and it's been misunderstood.
So if we think about something that we know about them, they did create the dragons.
That's true.
Like, is there a chance that they considered that to be their greatest work, considering that is what destroyed them? Like, great and best may not necessarily mean helpful and something that benefited
And remember,
them
this
in the
is
long run.
Vanger translating like
Yeah.
very early, like primordial.
It's just we had done a passageway back to where we found the egg.
It was just a chute that opens up. Whee!
Yeah.
You land in the water. That's funny.
My mind goes strange places.
Super fun, happy slide.
What was it? Goonies?
The Goonies had that as well, yeah. Mine's was a Simpsons
We
one, but yeah.
could take these items and sure we find use for them, but that would leave us back at square one, where we would presumably return to the library with 4 to carry and make our way back through the halls. But perhaps we don't take them and use them as the designers of this script intended. Perhaps we can unlock not only something greater, but a way out of our awkward predicament and a way to prevent.
I think while this sort of discussion's happening, Fleabite would like to take a moment or so to just look at the individual items to just try and commit them to memory. Their how they look.
Okay. Any particular reason?
Fleabite tries to sort of catalog would be the wrong word, but whenever there's Genasi stuff, it tries to like get a mental record of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Just on the very off chance you can ever be like, Banger, look what I found.
Give me a dare.
Yes.
Yeah. It's okay. I knew we were going with that once you'd started speaking. It's like, okay, I think I get what you mean. Yeah, you want to show up a dare. That makes sense.
And be
Don't
able to,
make
like,
me have to
conjure-
get Gregor to agree to guest star just so you can gloat to him.
But, like, yeah, being able to conjure the image, basically.
I mean, why just practice conjuring images just now then? Right?
Okay.
Yeah, that's... Yeah. I imagine it would take too long, right? They are all there.
Mhm.
To maybe like perfect
Yeah.
them, it maybe takes like the whole process might take you up to an hour, right? To perfect the look of them. Since there are like 5 of these things.
Then I would see how far we get during the course of this conversation.
Yeah.
I certainly wouldn't object to spending some time studying them before we commit to a course of action.
Yeah, carry on. I'll have a little look around the room, see if I can see
Keep in mind, you
another exit.
you can try and identify them as well, remember?
Using...
So it's part of like the attunement process, really. So you spend like an hour attuning to something, and when you've attuned to it, you kind of just know what it can do. This is the way to learn how magic items like work when you don't have a like identify spell.
Okay.
So yeah, just can
Sure, so
have a look at that.
we all take 1 or 2 each and we try and attune to it?
Oh, it's good to do 3 at a time, right? For the first
Yeah.
hour.
Well, yeah, that's sort of. Well, there are 3 of us.
Try and train Jim Bite how to
Take a lot of,
and then how to tell us.
He wants
I'll
the
look
ring.
over at the staff. I suppose naturally it would make sense that I try and bond with the staff.
I'll start with the circlet because, again, my own beliefs with swords.
You
Although
prefer to fight with your fists, I understand.
exactly. Or
Not the
spear
defibrillator.
even.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, or even the spear. But I'm going to look at Fleabite and I'm not even going to suggest that.
Well, what's Fleabite
So,
trying to copy at the moment?
I think, given...
Because the last thing you're
This is
holding
a
was the ring,
difficult
right?
Yeah, I think if it was a question of what does Fleabite want to try and figure out, it would be the ring.
Okay.
But that's the one probably least concerned with trying to recreate.
Okay. Would it have left your hand though?
No.
Okay. So when they've both
So, yeah.
suggested actually sitting, trying to attune to these things to learn what they can do, does Fleabite respond then?
No, but we'll start on the ring.
Okay. So
Like, just seeing them sit down and
Mhm.
give it a go, Fleabite will concentrate on the ring for a bit.
Okay. Keldrath, what are you going for then? Because it means that the javelin is available, but so is the circlet and the sword.
I'll go with the circlet. It'll make me look pretty.
Cool.
Fleabite's interest in the javelin is entirely based on that it was the air genasi that had it, which is what Adair was. The actual javelin side of things is less.
Yeah. So yeah, he's won an hour to pass. We'll fast forward the clock. Yeah. Yeah. Can everybody just give me Arcana rolls as part of this process as well? Like
Oh, sure.
they're not too crucial, but I'm gonna see what I can throw in. That
It's
not
a
bad.
little 15 in the Arcana.
Okay. Right.
Like Texarkana.
You want to use the last inspiration?
I think I do.
Yep. Okay.
We can get more.
Yeah.
This feels quite Or, despite you saying, just because
Yeah.
Fleabite's not very good at Arcana.
And you're in disadvantage anyway, so. Hey, that's surprisingly good. Fleabite really wants to know about this ring. Okay, yeah. So I'll start in the order we rolled, right? Because that's exciting. Let me bring up my notes. So Vanger.
Vanguard.
Okay, so the staff could only be attuned by a druid. Look at that.
How convenient.
Yes.
That's not how convenient would be pronounced, even if you pronounced it
It
wrong.
is wielded as a magic quarterstaff that grants you a +2 attack and damage rolls.
Strong.
While you're holding it, you have a +2 to spell attack rolls as well. But not spell damage, as it says. The staff has 10 charges, and it regains 1d6 plus 4 at dawn of those charges. If you expend the last charge, roll a d20 on a 1, the thing becomes a non-magical quarterstaff. Okay. Spells, you can use an action to expend one or more of the charges to cast the following spells, using your spell save DC. Animal Friendship, Awaken, Bark Skin, Locate Plant or Animals. It's actually Locate Animals or Plants. Speak with Animals, Speak with Plants, or Wall of Thorns. Okay. You can also use an action to cast Pass Without Trace without using any charges. So that's just free. Tree
Very
form.
nice.
Oh, I'm not finished. Tree form. You can use an action to plant one end of the staff in fertile earth and expend one charge to transform the staff into a healthy tree. The tree is 60 feet tall and has 5-foot diameter trunk, and its branches at the top spread out in a 20-foot radius. The tree appears ordinary but radiates a faint aura of transmutation magic if targeted by detect magic. While touching the tree and using another action to speak its command word, you return the staff to its normal form. Any creature in the tree falls when it reverts to a staff. Fleabite. So, that's what you learn about that staff. Yes.
Wow.
I know it's not really Fleabite's business anyway, but does the pass without trace include the companions or just the wield?
It's the spell pass
Okay,
without
yep.
trace. So it's everybody in that 30-foot bubble, right? Or whatever that the radius is of that. It's just free pass without trace, ultimately. Okay. Keldrath. You went for the circlet.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get my notes on the circlet. Right, so while wearing the circlet, you can use an action to cast Scorching Ray with it. When you make the spell's attacks, you do so with a bonus of +5. The circlet cannot be used this way again until the next dawn. So you essentially get pew 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 Iron Man style blasts. You get 3 of them. That's what Scorching Ray does. And they're 2d6
See, with
damage
Circlet, I
each.
was thinking more Cyclops, except that Cyclops' blasts are explicitly not hot, so that doesn't make sense. Superman.
Yeah, I guess it's a bit Superman-y, right? Yep. And I like that.
And it can be used by anybody, or
It seems
not
to be.
attuned to anybody in particular.
Yeah, so that's another thing. Like this one doesn't have an attunement. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
like it doesn't take an attunement.
The staff did. This didn't.
Yeah. But
Yes.
this,
Yeah.
oh, wow.
Yep. Yeah. But it is like 1 casting of Scorching Ray per day, with a +5 on a d20, though. Right? Remember, because you don't get your stuff. It's the +5 with a d20. So yeah, it's all right. All right. It's pretty good.
Definitely.
Yeah. Fleabite. I may have to edit some of the text to this one. But it's fine.
What? Why? What in our time together would make you think that would be required?
Yeah. So yeah, this requires attunement, obviously. While wearing this ring, you are immune to magic that allows other creatures to read your thoughts. Determine whether you are lying, know your alignment, or know your creature type. Most people don't know that about Fleabite anyway. Creatures can
It's
telepathically...
some kind of dog!
Creatures can telepathically communicate with you only if you allow it. You can use an action to cause the ring to become invisible until you use another action to make it visible, or until you remove the ring, or until you die. If you die while wearing the ring,
Dying ruler.
your soul enters it, unless it already houses a soul. You can remain in the ring or depart for the afterlife. As long as your soul is in the ring, you can telepathically communicate with any creature wearing it. A wearer can't prevent this telepathic communication. So read into that what you will.
So immune to telepathic communication with everyone else.
You are immune
except
to
any-
magic that allows other creatures to read your thoughts, determining whether
Okay.
you're lying. So like a zone of truth couldn't make you tell the truth,
Mhm.
or your alignment, or your creature type. And you have to allow telepathy, like for communication. Unless something's
Except
in
for-
the ring.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Okay. It's alright. So what do you do after the hour? When you each learn these things?
I think I'm excited enough that I'd like to check out the other two items before we move on, before we
I
decide
think we
what we're
should
doing with them.
discuss a little bit as well. This is a powerful Vedic focus. It feels almost perfectly designed for the Guardian Forest. I can't but feel that if circumstances had been different, another would have been meant to carry this. He says, leaning heavily on the fourth wall, but then the fourth wall hasn't actually been put back down when the barman went through it.
Yep.
So he falls over,
Okay.
like in the famous sketch from.
Fools and horses.
I was trying to think of a wrong answer that was
Okay,
possible that I could
sorry.
have thought it was actually from it, but I couldn't think of a good wrong answer. So I'm going to say Jurassic Park.
Okay.
I'm not sure if this what sort of role this would even be. Is there any semblance of the green one and the old forest guardian? Sorry, the Earth Genasi and the.
So like the Witch of the
Forest.
Woods, you mean?
Yes, because they were a Genasi, weren't they?
Yeah, they seem to be. That's what Cynthia said, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, these people all have like variously coloured skin. Genasi-esque coloured skin, yeah.
But not like a familial semblance.
No. As I said, like as close as you're telling with obviously Adair's like lineage, right? Like you can tell like, maybe for example certain brows are stronger than others have like better cheekbones or stronger jaws or whatever like genetic traits you're able to like identify in the different like lines of Genasi, the different elements. Whatever that would
No,
be.
I was straight up wondering if they were like sisters.
No. They definitely don't seem to be. There's no like obvious family resemblance anyway. I'm happy just to say that.
Cool.
Especially since the Earth one's male.
So what were the two items we hadn't looked at yet?
The sword and the javelin.
That sounds like a young adult novel.
Johnny. I don't know.
So who's taking them to review?
Again, I'm gonna pick up the sword and I will say to Vanger, it may work for me, it may not. I have no attunement with these weapons. Would want to use to
I can
like
wield a
take on this
sword, right?
challenge.
I don't know. Do you have
I've got-
martial weapons as a thing? 'Cause I think a longsword's a martial weapon.
No, I've only got simple weapons.
Mm.
So yeah, if it's a martial, I will have to say swords are not. Perhaps it would be better if the two of you took a look at these.
It's almost like maybe that that thought you had earlier might not fully line up as you would expect. About who's for who.
Oh, I know. That was so I don't necessarily expect to be 100% correlation.
I mean,
because
also,
it's pretty
look at
close.
what you did with your staff earlier in the game.
Yeah, I know. There's
Yeah.
definitely a good bit of synchronicity there.
Well, I still, I think Fleabag might just hand you the javelin.
Javelin.
I like the idea that you're holding a sword and like the javelin now.
Right?
I don't know.
Oh, sorry, I thought Keldrath was taking the.
No, you picked up the sword and then you handed it to Vanger to
Yeah.
play.
I went to, but Vanger said that he didn't have much achievement with it either. So, Fleabag, how are you with swords? I know you're a small creature, but
And also, they mean proficiency when they're saying attunement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. I think Fleabag would just sort of scoff and then look back at the ring intently and sort of ignore them.
Petting it gently.
Right. Are javelins martial? Or are they simple?
They're simple.
They're
They're
simple,
simple.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I will take the javelin happily then.
Sure, yeah. Remember, you don't need to be
And
proficient to, like, attempt to attune to something. Not to my
I'll
knowledge,
take the
anyway.
sword back then, and I will try the sword then.
Yeah,
I
cool.
don't intend wasting. I'd hope not to waste 3 hours.
I was going to say, so, Flea, what do you do for an hour while they're meditating?
Sit like with Gembite and just
You want to go near
assume-
Gembite with these items?
sorry.
You want to go near Gembite with your ring, for example?
Well, I figured there's not that much distance between us at the moment.
I mean, if you're at the Illithid's kind of resting place, yeah, you're at the opposite side of the room from Gembite, right? It's just me asking questions. That's all, Alexander. No one needs to get alarmed.
Suspicious.
Just asking questions. That's what you'll say.
It's my job to clarify things. Okay, that's. But I'm also saying, do you want to take these magic items closer to Gembite? Yes or no?
Well, I guess no is the sensible answer there.
What's the worst that could happen with a potentially possessed ring?
Well, I think Fleabite would probably spend the time just with the ring, and I know basically from what you've said, there's no way of externally telling if there's a soul within, but that still wouldn't stop Fleabite from trying.
Yeah, like just maybe sit and try to think with the ring.
So I'm tempted to literally think to the ring.
Well, so here's my other question, Ryan. I have made the assumption you have also chose not to complete the attunements with each of these.
That is correct.
Yes.
At least for Fleabite.
Yeah. Most.
Yeah, and obviously we didn't have to with the circlet, so we don't need to worry about Keldrath there. So yes, besides that, so you can sit and have a good hard think about the seclusion.
Yeah, like player agency, should Fleabite try and like psychically chat to it?
I am at the present time trying to attune myself to a sword. I don't know what Fleabag's doing. That's up to him.
But that's why he's saying player agency, right?
Yes, I know.
I think no, Chris, you can't avoid responsibility.
Yeah, Chris is not the one with the. This is Alexander asking Chris, not Fleabite asking Keldrath.
No escape. Remember, I caught Fleabite on that when he was trying to sleep that last session. He was like, "I turn up and pass out." It's like, no, you don't. You're only semi-unconscious.
Like, so basically, Fleabite or Alexander doesn't really think that it will work, but there's a chance it does, and then there's a chance something happens.
It's not always necessarily good things that happen, though. And the idea is that you do want to attempt to mind link to a ring all about psychic bullshit and like storing souls.
Yeah, well, it makes sense though, because there might be a soul in it too. Otherwise, why
Yep.
bother?
Or it might be a super fun happy slide.
That's why I say, like, there's a chance something happens and we learn something. That lesson may be painful. There's also a chance nothing happens.
Yeah.
So I will consider that decision while those guys are thinking as well.
Okay. So we skip another hour, yeah?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me your rolls, just to Arcana again, please.
Arcana. Oh. Bad. Bad at all.
Okay, well, we'll go with Caldrath first, who had the sword, right?
I did.
Me too. Let me go and get my notes on the swords. Okay, so it does in fact require attunement. When you hit with an attack using this magic sword, the target takes an extra 1d6 cold damage. In addition, while you hold the sword, you have resistance to fire damage. In freezing temperatures, the blade sheds bright light in a 10-foot radius and dim for an additional 10. And when you draw this weapon, you can extinguish all non-magical flames within 30 feet of you. And this property can be abused no more than once per hour.
And the achievement
Dumbledore.
is
So
for anybody that can use.
No. So it does require attunement, right? But that's it. So attunement is normal people.
Yeah. Sorry.
So
Yes.
let me explain it though. Normal people can be attuned to up to 3 magic items, max, right? That are requiring attunement, which is why you could wear 17 of those circlets and nobody cares, right? But you could only be attuned to 3 of these swords, right? That's how D&D's attunement rules work. So if a magic item requires attunement, it usually means it packs a bit of a punch because it's limited by the designers. You can't just have a lot of them, and it takes you an hour to attune to them. So that is just something that I want to let Chris, the player, know about the rules of D&D. But there are no like class limitations on it. No, the only the Earth staff thing, like the Staccato's Guardian, has a very strict qualifier, being Druid only.
Druid only. Yeah.
Yep. Right, and then we have the Javelin. Let me move over to that. Okay. This Javelin is a magic weapon. When you hurl it and speak its command word, it transforms into a bolt of lightning, forming a line 5 foot wide and extends out from you to a target within 120 feet. Each creature in the line, excluding you and the target, so let's see, each creature in the line, excluding you and the target, must make a DC 13 Dex saving throw, taking 4d6 lightning damage on a failed save and half as much on a successful one. The lightning bolt turns back into a javelin when it reaches the target. Make a ranged weapon attack against the target. On a hit, the target takes damage from the javelin plus 4d6 lightning damage. The javelin's property can't be used again until the next dawn. In the meantime, the javelin can still be used as a magic weapon.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Right, go.
And again, that would be a martial weapon?
No, it's simple.
It's a javelin.
Simple
Javelins are
weapon.
simple. Yep. So you could use that. Monks are pretty good with all of that. But anybody could use it because it's also no attunement. It is also very thematically appropriate, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, having done that, I will sort of raise the staff up and use it to sort of pull myself up off the ground. It's a powerful weapon, but it is very much just a weapon. It seems to be able to take the form of lightning as it travels through the air. Be dangerous. But you know, I'm getting I asked in the center again.
Can maybe say why it's called Finger of the
Perhaps not
Storm
well
now.
suited.
Yes, much like the sword will do lots of damage, but it's just a sword. And the circlet doesn't need any attunement, doesn't need any class. Anybody can use it at all, and it will shoot a beam of power against your enemies. So another weapon.
Well, nice. The
Does anybody
staff
have
is more
Scorching Ray out of interest that they could show
offensive
that spell into? Let's
nature.
see if I think I can find somebody to cast it. So let me see if I'm.
I don't have it.
I think I could have it, but I don't have it as well.
I'll have somebody that can use it, right? So let's see. An Archmage of Mephistopheles. They should have it, right? Let me have a quick look at their character sheet. Let me just steal this guy over. Actually, he might be easier to use. So don't mind him. Just
I have so many things open that I can't see them.
Does he have Scorching Ray? He doesn't, but
Is
I'll give him Scorching Ray.
he from Utapau?
He looks a lot like that, doesn't he? It's actually an image I use for my Friday game as well. His name is Vishal, and they hate him. There you go. Oh, that'll get me the description in a wee second. Pretty good roll. Well done, mister. There you go. Just so you can actually see what Scorching Ray does as a spell, Chris.
I've lost myself here. There we go.
So it could be 6d6.
Wow.
Yeah, Scorching Ray is a really good spell.
That plus a lightning bolt. We're going back down the mountain.
And
Or
immune to.
Mystery Box.
I mean, the mystery box could be anything.
Yep.
Um,
And it's
Gentlemen, I think we're being tempted here. These all seem very powerful weapons.
out of character, as fitting as that staff sort of is, I honestly, not really. Like, it's a powerful,
Yeah, I can see that.
weapon, but like it's also like leaning heavily into the druidic side, which I have downplayed somewhat in favor more of the cleric side. It maybe is, despite being completely inappropriate for his class, more of an Eltrus thing to an extent, or more of a me in conjunction with Eltrus thing. But specifically, I think because these clearly tie to Guardian roles, they're maybe not necessarily meant to be a perfect reflection of the party makeup. So you shouldn't be surprised if some of them are a bit awkward.
Well, let's put it this way: if there were 6 players, there wouldn't just be 6 bodies here.
Yeah.
There'd still be 5. So.
Yeah, no, I'm quite happy just to say that it's coincidence that I'm a lightning breathing dragonborn, and that's quite a handy javelin that complements my skills. I'm not under the impression that it is laid there for me. It's as you mentioned earlier. These are burial gifts. These were buried with their representation. They're not. We're not quite down the grave, robber.
Coughs and
Well,
say,
but that is,
Yeah.
that is another thing. Where Vanguard would be much more comfortable using them for an intended purpose than he would be taking them.
I do love the visual though of walking past like 10th with new bling. Be like, hello, hello, hello. Dragon also just behind, hello.
Fleabite with his ring on, going, "Come on, try read the mind. Come on, come on."
Not even wearing a ring, it's invisible in his finger.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a nice little addition for that ring, right? Like the fact that you can make it invisible. It's so like quirky.
Gladriel.
Yep. It's very Galadriel, that ring, to be fair. Right down to the souls trapped within it.
Think you'll find that's Nenya business.
Yeah. Poor Celeborn, you soulless person. Yes. So yeah, you are in the room, you have spent like 2 hours, right? Like, sussing this stuff out. You've looked at the dais, it does seem to be a drop them all in and see what happens. Or, you know, put them back, or leave with them.
I think that what we're looking at are the weapons, and therefore perhaps we can assume the remains of the original Guardian.
You think their powers were taken from them to make these weapons, rather than this was their weapons?
Well, no, I don't necessarily know that the relationship goes either of those ways. I believe they may well have been their weapons, their badges of office, perhaps, but I don't know. The power comes from them. But I do think they're symbolic of the Guardians themselves. The choice is between the power of the individuals or a greater whole.
I think Fleabite will sort of stir, probably for the first time in a while, and look at the illithid body and say, "This not weapon, no. This vessel."
Well, not all weapons are blades or maces.
Choke on it. Right?
It may be that its abilities are not aggressive in nature, but consider what it may enable one to do.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, Fleabite hasn't said anything about what this does.
Yeah, that's a fair point, actually. Yeah. But yeah, you know what? My comment still makes perfect sense in that context. So.
Think, squid face thing. Remain inside.
10, possibly.
Fleabite will shake his head and motion towards the dead one on the table.
You think it's in the ring?
Pointed, no response.
Do you mean a pointed lack of response, do you mean? Or
Sure.
do you mean a pointed no response?
I
Pointed missing response.
I interpreted it as
Clarity is always good for the audience.
yeah. The other way around, I would have phrased it something like pointed response of no or something like that. Or pointed no in response, you know. But yeah, I can understand points. Okay, so it does make a lot of sense as we said earlier, but If you think that there may be if you think it might remain within the ring, perhaps there might be something to be gained from contacting. If do you think you could communicate with it?
I think Fleabite will point to the dais and ask, think of items need unused of combined work.
From looking at it, there's no way I could tell from my investigations earlier. I wouldn't advise breaking it. But to say, is the ring there what they're looking for, or what's in the ring if you think there is something in there?
So another wee thing
Talking
to
this
remember as
through
well,
in my mind.
just a wee additional information as well, that Fleabite will be aware of, at least mechanically speaking. You attune to these things, it will break former attunement.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's back that one up. Right. So, okay, I'm just going to ask.
Okay, just ask. Yep. Mhm.
Like, would that mean that if there was a soul within it and Fleabite attuned with it, the soul would be forced to vacate?
No, it means that maybe, right? You just need to consider whether the fact that these were attuned to these 5 matters in whatever the dais is.
That's a good point.
Okay, yes, so that does kind of come back to what Fleabite was saying about if they were used, do you think they would still work?
That's not what I got from what Fleabite said earlier. I got,
Okay,
do you need
sorry.
all of them for it to work or not? Is what
Yeah.
I got.
Oh, no, sorry, Fleabite was meaning...
It's like,
they
could you
still
put
work?
some in and see what happens, and then I'll hold on to my thing?
No, it was more about, like, could you just use them a little bit? And then we'll come back later, it'll be fine.
Like a little conquest with these items, yeah.
I'm sure we can look at our cake for a little bit and then come back and eat the rest.
Mm-hmm. So, gang, what's the plan? Feel free to do this in agency just now if you want as well. So,
I think we're kind of on a level that the weapons themselves would be useful, but potentially the mystery box more so. Except for the ring. That's the only one that I can sort of see having, because it's also a mystery box. We don't know if being able to contact the very likely spirit of the original Illithid would do for us. That's where Alexander is.
mm-hmm.
I, for one, would be tempted by the Javelin, but not enough that my own curiosity about history and what's in the mystery box, I think, would be stronger than.
I love it. It's just called the mystery box. I feel bad that I said that. But yes. And as Colin said, the mystery box could be anything. Could even be a javelin.
Even be another mystery box.
Yeah. I think it becomes deal or no deal at that point, though.
I never understood or cared about Deal or No Deal, so I'm assuming that joke makes sense, but if it doesn't, I wouldn't know.
It only barely holds up.
Well, mathematically then it makes more sense to swap.
Okay, so you're giving up the ring for what? What you're trading? Is this like the Office Christmas, where you all have to, like, was it you steal an item? Trade an item?
I haven't seen The Office either.
I know you haven't. It's fine, don't worry.
Is there some Buffy reference that you could be making?
Yeah, it's like that time this happened in Buffy.
I know, I refuse to believe this hasn't happened in Buffy.
I don't think there was ever a Dias. Oh no, of course there was. There was the one that held the scythe, which wasn't a scythe.
Mhm. The very generous
A scythe,
axe.
which was an axe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so any more agency chat?
I think we should definitely go for the. There's something that whoever created this tomb valued enough to hide behind. Literally, the bodies and a slightly cryptic clue. Like, if you could read their language, it's only slightly cryptic, but you would have had to found the place, gained entry, moved the bodies, opened the stuff, right? And been willing to give up powerful items to get there, right?
Mhm.
It's no small task. So whatever is behind there was something of considerable value and considerably more value than these items.
But also worth hiding away.
Yes, but
And-
doesn't that just make Fleabite more interesting?
Yeah, but there's probably a ghost in the ring. That's also kind of interesting.
Why you talk to the ghost now? I'm sure, probably, maybe. Who knows?
Would it be fun if there wasn't a sacrifice involved, Alexander? Really?
Yeah.
Like, so do we think we should? Do we think Fleabite should try and chat up whoever's in the ring?
Try and
Or-
talk to it. That's different from a tuning, right?
Well, as I said,
Yeah.
I've made the assumption none of you have chosen to go through with the attunement just
Yeah.
to learn what the things can do. That was my assumption on that. So, what's the plan?
We attack the mirror with hummus.
This is one of those silly questions that I already know the answer to. You can't just slightly probe it. It's either probe or not probe.
Yeah, if we all hold on to the things as we dip them into the, Bender in the.
No, I mean you mind linking with it.
Okay. Well,
It's either all
yes.
in or yeah.
Well, no. Fleabite could try and psychically link with it. That's different from a tuning.
Well, a tuning.
Yeah.
But like,
I sort of think you should.
okay.
I actually think Fleabite would have, whether we decided not to. Or,
Well,
I
yeah, there's
actually
also-
think he would
To
have.
be fair, I do think that is quite.
Siren's on
Like-
board as well. Look at that.
Well, if Siren's important.
Yeah, I thought that my chat isn't working. Interesting.
You know who else's chat isn't working?
I don't know. Let me test this again.
I'm not sure either.
On the stream, I mean, though. Why are you gonna work?
Listen, chat. If chat isn't working, just type in chat. Chat not working.
There we go. It's reloaded now. No, it wasn't coming up on like my stream. It's interesting.
Oh, no one's typed chat not working, so I can only assume chat's working.
Yeah.
Right?
Thanks, Aaron. Can you give me psychic healing?
Can you give me no repercussions from the DM?
Well, okay, that's something I didn't consider whenever I said that Fleabite would have done it one way or the other. Fleabite's also still suffering from his last experiment with us, so
Yeah, no.
would that be a consideration for him?
He might be too tired to think of it, but I don't think it
Mhm.
would have taught him caution.
Yeah, so far it's been win-win from last time.
Yeah.
Got a dragon out of it. Clearly, that wouldn't have happened. Okay. So we. I also have a reasonable suspicion that this will just do nothing because it's an object. But
I mean,
Oh,
can
it's
you
nice.
even target it in the first place?
I targeted the egg.
Yes, you did. What was happening with the egg?
It was in a transitionary phase, I believe.
Okay. It's very zeitgeisty, that statement, just so you know. Because an egg is somebody that you refer to as like pre-trans, like before they knew they were trans. They refer to as an egg. Yeah. And recently D&D was highlighted as something that helped a lot of people realize they were trans through obviously their role playing. Let's see. So you establish communication between yourself and others. Perfect for quiet infiltration. I love that you're doing this to a ring called Seclusion.
Better than a town called Malice, I always say.
Or a town they call June.
Or Eureka.
Yeah. Let's see. Choose one or more creatures you can see.
So if I close my eyes...
I close my eyes.
I was thinking more Aerosmith.
Okay.
yeah.
In the streets, I don't really like Aerosmith actually. Some of their songs are good.
I could tell with your impression.
He's a piece of shit, right? Like he is just an absolute cunt.
Allegedly.
On air. Not allegedly.
Allegedly.
Admittedly.
So, back to the game.
Back to the game. Okay. What is that?
It's a flaybout. What else you got?
So are you implying that
It's
an
a
attempt
ring is
which-
not a creature, so you're safe from it being a mimic at least.
Is a spirit a creature?
What spirit?
The one that may or may not be within the ring.
Dunno.
Vodka.
You'd need to get in the ring to find out, right?
You need to get in the ring with Bonesaw to find out.
Is it Spider-Man 1 reference?
Yeah.
Yes!
Yeah.
Bonesaw is ready! Yes!
reminds me of the,
For 3 minutes.
It reminds me of the
Listen,
in the cartoon
Macho Man Randy
Spider-Man.
Savage.
It was I want to say Tombstone's like, come down here and fight me like a man. And Spider-Man's replies, I guess I couldn't convince you to come up here and fight me like a spider. Oh dear. Well, there's a lot of nothing happening, guys. Just so you know. Just staring at a
okay,
pile of loot.
Well, if psychic whispers aren't an option, then...
Yeah, a ring is not a creature.
But what is a ring?
Not a creature.
What is a man?
When is a man not a man?
When he's a ring. Or a ring wraith. Yeah, see? It's all connected.
They were men once, though.
Yes. Kings
Mighty
of men.
kings
Yeah.
of
Like we're both on a similar timer there for that statement. So, gang.
Then I think... Yeah, so basically the only option Fleabite would have would be put it on or put it in the hole. And I think...
So the option you'd
While-
have would be spend an hour to attune to it, so it becomes,
Yeah.
Your magic item, or throw it in.
Cast it into the fire!
Mm-hmm. For the mystery box.
So I guess put that to the...
I love how
group we go.
like greatest works got turned into mystery box this evening.
Mystery ghost or mystery box. I think that is our option.
My opinion is that we are going to put it in to the available on the dais, in the dais,
So mystery box.
mystery box.
You realise there's 3 of you, Alexander. It doesn't quite work as well as you're hoping. Because unless you vote now, like...
Well, if Colin votes right now, then...
What? I don't know. I vote mystery box.
See? Excellent.
You don't need
See,
to make a decision.
I can literally vote for the other one, and then if anything bad happens, I can say, well, I voted for Kodos.
Yeah.
But Kang had better posters.
I actually did vote for Kudos, but that's only because he was standing for Labour.
Oh dear.
I mean, third, option, I did consider just taking out Blade of the First Peoples and stabbing it, seeing what happened then. But Horcrux sort of imagery aside.
Mm-hmm.
I think because
This is D&D. It's a phylactery.
Yeah, but it's a ring, so it's clearly...
A phylactery can be a piece of jewellery.
Yeah, but it has to be the one ring if it's a ring that that houses a soul. And no matter what you say, it's going to be... the visual for me is that it's a golden ring with no adornment.
Oh no, I am picturing it as the One Ring also.
You can tell me that's not true, but that won't matter.
I don't think it matters what I say at this stage. Like, we've got mystery boxes and game shows and prizes and a cuddly dragon.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I think Fleabite will take the ghost ring to the slot and then look to the others.
just for say anything.
Well, I suppose, yes. This is probably the wisest course of action.
I agree. The temptation is there, I must say, but
I think Fleabite does reach out with his mind, and I think this probably is a mistake. But even though he can't connect with it, the call is initiated.
Okay, yeah. Sure. Do you want to burn a psychic die?
No.
No?
No.
Mainly because the first one after a long rest doesn't count.
You've already used that though, right?
I think you did, yeah.
I think you've used
Okay.
I think you've used that and your first one. I think you've burnt through that. Because you burn psychic dice to obviously fuel your skills, and you've bumped up 2 skills at least.
Yeah, but the chat is...
Oh, so the chat has a free thing.
Yeah, the chat has a free thing, the other one...
So you're down 2 dice normally, but your chat free... Yeah, okay. You can burn that if you want,
yeah. Yeah, so that's what I would do.
Okay. Just at least, saying, well, I'm listening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. As expected, there's very little back, right? Almost nothing, you could say.
Almost nothing. Ain't nothing.
So, Caldrath, Fanger, and Fleabite. Fleabite's holding the ring, I assume, over the dish. I assume you're holding over the corresponding dish? Or are you going to try a different...
Just got a ring peg and a triangle hole.
Right, Fanger, Caldrath, what he's got, what he's dropping in.
I'll take the staff over.
I'll take the sword over.
And the javelin, I suppose.
Yep. That means the sword
Well,
and the circlet.
they're both you have laid them beside it anyway, so it's just a matter of picking them up and...
Symbolically as well, I like the idea of staff. It's official. It works.
And also dropping them all in together is probably nice, right? So do you do it?
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's do it.
On 3, gentlemen. 1, 2,
3.
3.
Till they're dead.
That's well done.
Oh, it's the Undertaker.
so
He's
you
retired.
so you've dropped all the items in, yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I love you like as soon as you drop the items in, the elements above each of the like the kind of like the dishes, as it were, all like immediately go into the center and they'll overlap each other until it's like a kind of glowing white light, and immediately like dive into the dais that lights up all the runes. You just hear like a very, very, very heavy thunk, and we go to break.
Ah, the classic thunk of breaking.
Yes. So let's take a wee break here. A very brief one, maybe like 5-10 minute one, and we'll come back. Then,
Godspeed.
BRBs.
Be right back. one of the bands I follow called Those Damn Crows. They were doing a podcast during the lockdowns and everything else, and people started sending them in little gifts in here. And they done a segment during the podcast called "What Was in the Box," and they used the imagery from the movie Seven
Ah.
when the head was in the box.
Also, spoilers anyone that hasn't seen Seven yet. Also, how?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, sorry, my apologies.
It's okay. It's an old movie. But yes, welcome back to the Invasion Session 80, Part 2. I am Ryan, the GM. It's the 9th of February 2022. Here are the players.
Good evening, my name is Alexander, and tonight I'll be continuing to play Fleabite the Skaven, who's still pretty terrible at everything,
With no
but
ring of
probably
power.
less likely to be possessed.
Evening, everybody. My name's Chris, and I am Keldrath, the Dragonborn monk, who for the first time has been tempted by a weapon.
Mm.
Good evening. I'm eating chocolate.
Hi, eating
Colin?
chocolate.
And I'm also playing Vanger, Dwarven Clericy Druid. And you're right, it was a long time ago. The movie Seven was in 1995, which,
Just-
wow.
Yeah.
I would have put it a few years after that.
It's
And I
old
have a
with an
controversial
R.
opinion in Seven. Would you like to hear my controversial opinion, Ryan?
Sure.
Don't worry, it's not that controversial. I didn't really like it.
No, I think that checks out. I think we spoke about it before, a while ago.
I like David Fincher. I like Morgan Freeman. I like Brad Pitt. I like the bits of Kevin Spacey where he's
Mhm.
not a censored, and possibly
Mhm.
censored.
Mm-hmm.
And absolutely, definitely guilty of many censored.
Mm-hmm.
But as an actor, he's pretty good. So I'm surprised at how much
Thank
I
you,
kind
Simon.
of really disliked it.
Yeah, no, it's fair. Like it's like a recipe that has all the right parts but the wrong flavor, I guess, for you. So, but
I
meanwhile,
think it was like a
this game.
yeah. There's a game that we play
Yes.
on Wednesdays, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So let's make the most of the time we have remaining of this Wednesday.
Alright, does this have something to do with David Fincher?
Probably, right? Like, there's probably elements of his style and my style somewhere. So yeah. But anyway, you're in the room with the 5 bodies and also a dragon. And you have deposited the items.
We have.
Yes.
Indeed.
As I described, all the elemental kind of affectations all like quickly zip to the middle, all combine seemingly into like a bright light, and then it immediately hits into the dais, seemingly cracking it, lighting up all the runes on it. And then you have from behind all of you. Yes.
Yeah, he's followed us.
You hear the voices of the 5
Oh, okay. No.
as they all immediately maybe startle you all as they say in. And so Vanger you'll have to translate because obviously.
Okay.
Yep. But the gist of it is, behold the great works of our combined efforts, is what all 5 say as they're all gesturing, because you can see them all in like some kind of magical hologram as they're all gesturing towards the center.
Oh, right. Yes. They're saying, behold the... And then he repeats that.
And yeah, like once that kind of light dissipates, and the kind of like the dais itself like moves away and unfolds and kind of like very
Haunting almost.
like they all kind of like almost still staring these kind of like, you know, holograms, and then in the center there is a golden ring with 3 markings on it. 2 of the markings have bright white jewels on them, and the 3rd marking seems to be missing a jewel.
Interesting. Well, it would be place not to look. Quite gingerly approach it, unless Fleabite gets in there immediately.
Do you all want to roll initiative? Just to see who gets to it first?
No, because there's no point in trying to race Fleabite.
Like,
Okay, there's no point in me trying to race.
remember, this isn't a combat thing. This is just to see who would instinctually get to it fastest. That's all it's for.
Yep, I know. What colour are the gems? Sorry.
Bright like white.
White.
Okay, sorry, white. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe Fleabite wouldn't be as intensely interested if it's just
Yeah,
white.
yeah. If it was green, then we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Not wear that thing ever. This is a public service. I don't know. No one who was shining in golden could possibly be bad.
Nobody who speaks German
Right?
could ever be evil.
Oh, yeah, it says D Bart D. I mean, what are you talking about?
Like, I think Fleabite would just naturally go over to it. He wouldn't race over to it.
I just imagine they're all standing around the dais anyway.
Mhm.
Is there any sort of writing?
Nope. Well, you can see from there. You'd need to pick it up. Okay,
I think the only way we're going to figure anything out about this is the old-fashioned way. I'll sort of look over my shoulder at the images.
Yep, and they're all standing like as if waiting.
I peer at them as if suspicious that they might be ghosts.
Okay, yeah, you can peer at them suspiciously, yeah.
You know what?
Are you going to really peer at them?
I'm going to cast peer at them using one of my thrice daily peerings. That's
Thrice
how
daily
I'm phrasing
peerings
that.
is fantastic,
deal
by
with
the way. No, they don't register.
Vanger turns around looking somewhat relieved
Mhm.
and says, "They're not ghosts." I don't know if that had been bothering anyone else, but that's what he's saying.
Do
Have the time.
I'm not sure. Did you say that they sort of look like holograms, or was that called?
No, like that was me.
Right,
I said that they seemed to like appear like they were holograms, right?
I did compare them to like a recording.
I was just wondering, are they like similar? Obviously not entirely, but similar-ish to Silent Image. But obviously they speak.
I was gonna say they weren't silent, so by definition,
Yeah.
no.
A loud image!
Chatty image.
We learned a little something about loud image up in the northeast.
They're a exposition image, yeah.
I don't know
So,
what I'm doing anymore.
is anyone gonna take the ring
Fuck
from
it,
the center
yes.
of the dais?
Yes!
Okay. And
I would do.
you're gonna have a wee look over it, yeah.
We should take care while we're. Perhaps spend some time studying it before. Do anything. How about we make camp here a short while?
I mean, you've already spent 2 hours here. What's a third, right?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I'm thinking. We've already hunkered down here a little while, and well, I don't fancy my chances going back outside with this on my person right now. But
Would you say this ring exhibits any creature-like properties?
I would not.
Okay.
The creature holding it might.
yeah,
Might.
dwarves are creatures.
Yeah, so if you want to have a wee look over the ring, yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yep, so as I described, I know, like you turn it over and then you can see there is like some engravings in it. And it says, again, your best translation is the cradle.
And he'll just read that aloud in a meaningful sort of tone, maybe something like cradle. That's suggestive. Source of their power? Their power of creation?
I think I'm just trying to think what like a better translation of that could be. Like obviously a cradle doesn't really mean anything to Fleetbite in the literal sense.
No,
But-
of course it doesn't.
But I guess you know you talk about like the cradle of a violin and stuff.
Which is definitely a reference you would understand.
Yeah, of course. And well, I think the comment that Fleetbite might make is source or spawning for brute, and then poignantly look at the dragon.
Gembite looks at you poignantly.
Yes, that's. I suppose. You could say. Aye. Should ponder this. Perhaps we should eat something.
I'm not going to ask the question.
Okay.
I just would posit that it's 2 hour-long rests since we had a long rest. Yeah, just like it's not like we're whittling away the hours into. Well, I was about to say into a certain period of time, but I won't say that.
Yeah, you've basically like woke up from a long rest. You've probably like spent an hour getting to here, right? Because remember, Vanger went to wander. You just trashed the line.
So that was about an hour. Yeah. That was slightly over
And then
an hour.
however long it's taken to get to the tomb, right? Which is like, let's say, less than half an hour. And then your wanderings around could be part of that half an hour in the tomb, and then 2 hours rest. So now, basically. Also, sleep well, Siren.
Nice, Aaron.
Nice, Aaron.
So,
Is anybody brave enough to pick up the ring then?
I think Vanger's holding it and he's looking
Vanger's
at
already
it.
got it.
He's holding it and looking at it because he translated the words on it that said the cradle.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure whether
He's not attempted to attune to it yet.
Yeah.
But-
To identify it.
If we are going to settle down for a little while yet, I will sort of. I will inspect it for a sufficient amount of time.
Okay. What's everybody else want to do for their hour?
I'm going to have a look around the room before Fleabite decides to put another hole in the wall just to see if there's another way out.
So now it's suddenly a cool thing to do.
Yeah, if you want to give me an investigate then, I'll get Vanger's Arcana and Fleabite. What do you want to do?
I think we'll probably just sit with Gembite.
Then Gembite will just like nuzzle against you now that it's getting attention. Yeah.
Nice unaided arcana, and it's not too bad at all.
Yeah, pretty good. Oh.
Yeah.
Do you want to roll animal handling to see if you can get an 18?
Yeah. It's always possible.
Just on the off chance, right? Damn.
But if you
15.
add 6 and 7 and then take the difference between the last two.
15, 16, 17?
Oh, it's just... Yeah.
No, it was 16, 17, 6 and a 7. And the lines in between it make a 1, so it's 16, 17, 16, 17.
You know what happens in 1617, right? I don't. I'm just asking.
I feel like something did happen in 16.
Probably. I'm gonna. I think probably a few things happen.
Yeah.
At
Right.
least 4 or 5.
So anyway, Gardrath, there's one way in and out of this place. And a dragon butt is in the way. So yeah, one way in and out. It seems to be the door that can like slammed into the ground. That's the only way in and out. The walls are almost like you can't tell where the stone's been placed together. That's how kind of perfectly flush this place is. So yeah. Fleabite, you're probably handled more than you've handled Gembite, to be honest. Yep. And yeah, I think after the hour, Banger, would you like to know what you learn about the cradle?
I would love to.
One charge has been used over this,
Okay.
and they don't
Hence the
recharge.
gem.
Yep. There are 2 wishes left.
Aha, that makes sense.
Yes. Does anyone need any further information on this ring? Or is that good enough?
No, I think that's sufficient, and I think I can guess what the first charge was. It was Rector.
So, there is a...
Or it was the creation of the dragon.
Or it could have been, I suppose, yeah.
So yes, there is no attunement requirement for this ring. While wearing the ring, you can choose to spend one of its 2 remaining charges to cast the Wish spell from it. And it becomes non-magical when you use the last charge.
Ooh. So, you do get to keep the ring.
Yes.
How is Vanguard going to report this to the party?
Like your potential immediate apotheosis that you've just gained in your hand, yeah.
It's contains within its gems terribly powerful spells.
You could call it creation power,
Yes.
right? If you wanted to make it more in university.
Yeah, I might phrase it something like that. It has the power to create, or I suppose to destroy. This must be extremely careful where this falls. I think with this alone, we could. I think with this. I think we could cast them out.
Illicit?
I know it. I think
Pop that in chat just for some additional clarity for some people. Also, ignore the spell say DC, obviously, that's irrelevant.
I think we have.
You're getting cut off, by the way, because you're quiet.
Sorry, yeah, I'm deliberately being quiet, but if it's not coming through, I apologise.
Yes.
I think we have a potential solution in our hands, but we must be terribly careful how we use it. If we cannot let this fall into hands of the illicit. I simply shudder to think what they may do with it. Nor to fully trust the Baru, knowing as little as I do of them. their insular nature suggests they would not put it to use for the world at large, and I shudder also to think what humans might do with such power.
Can we just return it to the dais in any way, do you think?
I
Can we
don't.
trust ourselves with it?
We were led here, I believe, and don't. It matters not to me what has driven two of you this far, but I know what's brought me here. We are tested many ways at many times, and we were tempted with the offer of power, these mighty artifacts. In refusing them, we found something more. I think we must use this. The only question is this: we get two opportunities. What is the first we use? What's our first course of action? Don't want to flee this place and leave the the Baru.
How powerful do you think this is?
Powerful enough to create a race, or perhaps not. But I suspect that's very likely what it was first used for. May have been other things. It may be more recent than one would suspect. Perhaps it's not the first such ring. But with this, I think just about anything is possible.
Like, it probably should feel overwhelming, right, for everybody.
Here?
Implying that some of us weren't already capable of anything.
Yeah, okay.
How many levels of exhaustion do you still have, Sleep? 3, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We could use this to obviously change our world. But anything we may do, would it ultimately be for good or for ill? We have to be, from what you're saying, we have to be very, very careful.
Aye. It's a heavy burden.
If you all think that one charge use created great dragon things, then destroy blue wind things. The use of charge may not always of good intent bring.
see.
But, and I think this is sort of Alexander's wheels turning, but also Fleabite's. You have say Cryptomb is original, and holds out like his claw to make the symbol of 5.
Seem that way, aye.
Would that have not from time before Dragon?
Well, yes.
That is also possibly beyond what Fleabite actually knows. So if
It's a reasonable supposition.
yeah, but I'm not entirely sure how much of the whole history of the world Fleabite
Yeah,
was
so I think the thing
therefore.
you're missing though is you don't know when these people were sealed away properly,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like, if you think, like, I don't think there's anything that would rule out your thought process being was the first wish to bring dragons in. There's nothing I think Fleabite knows that would rule that out, from what I know that Fleabite knows. But I might be misremembering things.
I think it's been discussed enough by the party that even Fleabite might have figured out. But I'm not entirely sure if Fleabite was there for the Genasi created the dragons conversation, or
No,
was
that
really
was-
ever filled in for that.
That was Batuve and Keldrath and Vanger, yeah. But there's been enough time that could have been said, right?
Yeah.
Because we've had hours together since then. Hours and hours. So
My thought is just, what if it was something more Illithid focused? What if it was like, giving them the ability to jump planets or something? We are making that equivalency of a charge used, the dragons created, the Genasi gone. And while there's nothing that would say that's wrong, I feel like there are other possible explanations. Just the presence of a Illithid here raises huge questions, I think.
It does.
Does eliminating the Illithid, would that just simply eliminate the ring?
And we know, well, it would imply that we can't say return the Illithid to where they came from, because it kind of looks like they came from here.
Yeah, it does look like.
Which I know was something that we had sort of discussed in mistake, that Fleabite did think that they had been in this universe or plane before, but that wasn't actually what Fleabite had been told.
So, my inclination is that you're right. We can't just send them back, probably. But since it seems clear they are a threat on a global scale, and the dragon doesn't at present seem sufficient to deal with that, and I don't just want to feed the ring to the dragon, because that seems like an even worse idea.
it's like getting your mogwai wet.
Yeah, that's not a euphemism, chat. What?
It's kind of a Gary Gygax take the wheel sort of solution.
Everybody's a bard now. That's what would happen.
Do bards get wish at like top level?
Of course they do.
So
Yeah, told
basically
you.
we just need to level up and we can all just get wishes. Like, is that something that Vanger would know?
No.
Like,
I like to believe, right, so here's a wee tiny insight into the way I design worlds, right? I assume the greatest most people can get to in a world is around level 15. Right?
yeah, fair.
Because that makes sense that you don't have a bunch of reality breakers at level 17 just turning up. And I like that last 5 levels journey to be like the epic tier a party go through. I think that makes sense. Your game world is paced with, easy, medium, and difficult, and that's your first 5 levels, your next 5, and then your last 5. That's the world setting. And then your very special players in the world maybe have got to that last stage, Your main bad guy, for example, or whatever, maybe has got to that stage. But yeah, that's kind of how I set my worlds out, because otherwise D&D's worlds are really, really, really silly if somebody can wish every single day.
Yeah, no, it's fair.
Did you catch that subtle hint that Richter is level 20-something?
Well, because I said bad guy? The generic term bad guy?
And so is Tanan!
Oh.
We, again, back in game,
Mhm.
we have met so many challenges while I have been with the group. You have met so many challenges before I joined the group. There is not just one single evil is the wrong word. Challenge.
Obstacle
Obstacles to
to Broad.
the world being a better place. The Illithid one, the Gith another, Manglod.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the Storm Giant's name.
It was a title more than a name for the storm giant. It was the like father of the storm, or like the storm father.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then are you thinking of Alorian?
Delorian, yeah.
Remember Alorian? When you used to be scared of
Didn't seem so
Alorian?
bad.
Yeah.
And Kenrog.
Yep, good old Kenrog, the chieftain. Tag as well.
And you guys have met so many other people. You mentioned down in the sewers the
cult.
The cult.
The Watchers of the Crimson Mirror. Yes.
There are so many different evils that are we too focused on one?
There are many evils in this world, and there are many dangers that perhaps cannot be called something simple as evil.
Yeah, exactly.
But I
And
will say this: this world faces a new, unprecedented threat, regardless of the origin of these creatures. They have crossed worlds and absorbed those within them. I believe they are a threat to the order of things, not merely to lives or civilizations, but the order of the world. And I believe it is for that reason I was called to undertake this journey.
You of speak, Squawk, about dangers faced. There is also of good and great that has been lost. And Fleabite will like absent-mindedly play with the necklace that Alvin made or set for him.
I thought you were
Aye.
going to say Jim bites teeth.
Yeah.
There's much that has been lost, and more, I've no doubt, more by the time it's all through.
I don't know if I described it or not, but obviously as soon as you picked up the ring, all those images disappeared, just so you know.
I don't think you did say. Okay.
No.
Okay. They aren't just like lingering. They disappeared as soon as you picked up the ring.
I
Just
think
for sake.
I'll just clench my hand around the ring and close my eyes, tilt my head down, and and I think Vanker's just going to pray for a little bit.
Anything
Quietly.
specific in your prayers?
Yeah, he's praying for guidance, is, power beyond what a mortal
Now,
should
this
have.
is where a dick GM says, okay, expend a charge of the spell, like the ring, and then you've got guidance on yourself.
I'm not going to wish for guidance. That wouldn't be getting... No, because that would be using his spell in the rune. He's not looking for guidance from the ring. He's looking for guidance from his god.
Mm-hmm.
Also, surely you have to have the ring on in order to use it. That's just basic.
I mean, sure.
Well, maybe thematically.
Mechanically, is wish what the spell says, or is wish anything different?
I put wish in the chat for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've never actually read it before. It's a lot more limited than I thought.
I mean, it's a lot more safer than it used to be, because it gives you a bunch of very strict things the GM cannot interpret, and then it gives you also anything else you ask for ever. But that has mass amounts of leeway.
Up to 25,000 gold in value.
A singular item that fits in a 5-foot cube, yes.
I feel like that's quite low.
Yeah, that's one thing. Or any spell level 8 or lower. Any spell level 8 or lower. And it pays for all the components.
Is that just so that you can't wish for more wishes?
It's probably so you can't wish for, things like gate and whatnot. Or whatever else might have. I can't remember what ones have, the level 9 spells have expensive components. But wishing for more wishes would be dumb. Because you already have wish in the first place. Right? So you've already...
We only have 2 wishes.
Yeah, you only have 2. Yeah.
Can we wish that any of these rules changed? The first one.
No, but I will say your characters need to make the wish. So, yeah. Obviously, if it's not you using it as it's written in text form there, like when it says, can heal so many people, whatever, you're not using it in such a mechanical fashion. It needs to be something your character can say, which means you can't wish to be level 20.
Yeah.
Which I think's fair, since it is meant to be your character saying the wish spell, hence why it's only a verbal component. But yes. And also, let's face it, right? If he's fuck up, somebody can undo it with the second wish, right? He's have an undo.
I'm
we find
inclined. Sorry.
Can we find out how much this ring costs?
I mean, I suppose we could ask it.
Because if it was value to some people at only 24,000 gold.
But spells work off the assumption that there's an inherent value for things. So, what my initial thought was, and I'm still kind of hovering around this. Sure, we can't send them home because that might just be here. Or maybe just for some of them, maybe the original ones, maybe they don't even know that, whatever, but it might be the case. Seems very likely, in fact, at this point, right? I think we'd all agree on that.
I would agree with that, yes.
They being
but
the
we also
Illithid,
know...
I assume, for MD just joining us.
Yes, sorry, they being the Illithid.
Yep, cool.
We also know that they've been to plenty of other places in the meantime. What about send them where they were a decade ago? Something like that.
But we know that they have at one point or another figured out how to move from where they were a decade ago to here.
Sure, but I assume there's a reason they've taken the path they have, and that it might actually... They might not just be able to jump from any dimension to any other.
Well, we know there is that chronology of things.
Gap between events.
Yeah, we have that year of I want to say Starling.
Yeah, Antonia Starling, yeah.
Antonia Starling, figuring out portals or
Or blowing up.
Mystique
Yeah.
yeah, and other things entering the world, and then them entering the world, all within that like year.
Yeah, like for clarity's sake, Antonia Starling visited Von Rune and spoke to him about portal magic, and he basically told her to just stop. That was, as far as he was concerned, he said she was, dealing with stuff above her. She went back, died in a lab explosion and messing with portal magic. A year later, the Gith appear en masse across Staccato, and a year after that, the Illithid ship above Little Belnor appears. And that's when Von Rune's like, I got some information about this, by the way, and pointed out to the party it was all precisely a year apart.
It might buy us just a year, but if it does...
Yeah, but they have been here for nearly a year already, right? Or at least 6 months.
Right, but we don't necessarily know it means that it could only be done once a year. It might mean it takes about a year to do it.
No, I mean, what are you going to do in the year? Right?
Well,
what's that value?
For one thing, it's a year without having to worry about the Illithid overhead, where we can deal with other things. For instance, maybe broker some sort of peace between the Gith. Look, honestly, there's we could demonstrate. Look, we made the Illithid fuck off for a bit. We're going to prepare for the return. Why don't you stop bickering about whose fault it all is and kill them?
Why don't we just kill them?
I mean, yes, we could also just kill them all, but I don't. So here's the thing. I don't know that Vanguard would be able to do that, and I don't know how good of an idea it is to give this ring to Fleabite.
I agree with both of those sentiments, however. I'm not saying that if you gave Fleabite the ring, he would necessarily make a hard choice that you were unable to.
Yeah, he might just make a bad choice.
Hamburger, please.
Are we not trying to shut the barn door after the horses have bolted? Should we not be looking for something that can stop them here and now? We've lost everything we've lost. We may gain, as you say, a year by sending them back. But for...
Do you know who might have more information on that particular line of questioning?
Yes. Oradak.
Or who else might be the person to ask?
10th.
Yeah.
Okay, or, right, so there's a third.
Oof.
Nope, what would Batuve know about portals?
Oh, I think he'd probably know quite a lot. But Richter also.
Yes. So you've got 10th, Richter, and Oradak that are likely to be more informed about could you shut them out?
I wouldn't want to take that ring anywhere near Victor.
For legal reasons,
And that's
it needs to be
again
Richter.
For copyright reasons, it's not very...
Victor, yeah.
Whoa, they're Disney lawyers.
Yes. So... This is what we call the tyranny of choice. There's so much I could do with it. I have no idea what to do with it.
Okay.
Well, I mean, part of me is like, we didn't know we were going to get this, and we still thought we could do it.
Yeah.
So, why go the easy way? Let's just get 2 hamburgers and,
Yeah.
do it the way we were going to do it before.
Oh dear.
Where are we going to do that?
Well, we hadn't figured that out yet, but that's not important.
I used the first wish to figure that out.
Related going on.
Yeah, the important thing is we had the conviction.
If anything, it should be much easier now, right? Yeah. I love how it's become, okay, we'll fix the problem. And it goes, oh, we could fix every problem now. Yeah.
In one wish, how can we do as many goals as possible? I wish for a staff to fall down from the heavens and make us a way out of Barris that leads us past Sufim.
We could. We could. This is maybe a huge ask, so it might have to be narrowed down to certain specific individuals. But maybe we could make people immune to illithid influence.
What if we just made the illithid very vulnerable to everyone else?
I honestly thought you were going to use the word sterile there.
It's not really better than just killing them. It's kind of just a less efficient way.
Yeah, but is it a way that would offend the Great Father?
Probably more so than just killing them. To be honest,
Oh,
he's not
okay.
really he's not really about the whole barrenness thing.
Okay, no,
Okay.
and
Then
for
to be
the
fair,
record,
I mentioned sterile, he didn't.
yes,
Yeah.
Fleabite's
said
idea was
vulnerable.
just to make them easier to hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's yes, you did. Make them easier to hit is hard to freeze in universe is what I would say.
May my weapons strike true always.
I would like to lower the armor class.
Well, it's just you can't. The thing does say you can make like your allies immunity to things.
Yeah.
Well, it says you can give people resistance. It doesn't say you can make people vulnerable. But the rest
Surely
of Wish
that's-
means you could make people vulnerable. Because remember, Wish has those safe options, or anything you ask it to do, but unsafely. Because the last couple of paragraphs means that, keep in mind, there's 3 of you and 2 wishes, which is handy, because when one of you's wish for something that isn't safe, you may not be able to use the ring again.
Yeah.
So somebody else would need to wish for the second thing. Does that make sense? Because there's a 33% chance that you're unable to cast Wish ever again, regardless of how it comes to you.
So how is this for Crazy Wish? Every mortal is resistant to the influence of the illith. Not full out immune, but at least people have a chance of not being tadpole.
I mean, the easiest interpretation for a wish spell to deal with that would be to give people resistance to psychic damage.
Yeah, which
Right.
is probably
That was going to be my next question was, can you confirm that the illithid's power is their psychic influence?
Oh,
And can we just not remove that from their character?
Psychically neuter all of them? Wow.
yeah. I mean that's harsh.
Yeah, remove their telepathy. Make them
Simple
all
as that.
basically blind and deaf.
Oh, that's savage.
Like, if we're not allowed to just kill them.
I never said you weren't. You were
Oh,
discussing
we could
this.
do that. I just don't think I'm going to. I mean, if you, I'm not going to wrestle you for the ring.
I hear a certain bell tolling for the illithid, I think.
I don't
See-
know what we do.
See, this is the bit we don't know about the illithid. Is one, their technology for the portals. How advanced are they over even say the Baru? Would it be enough to remove their psychic ability throughout the? Not even. Do we care about other planets?
I would say for the
A
most part, you
barrier round about
probably don't.
this.
I don't think we have the time, frankly, to care about other.
I've been in our
World.
campaign.
Yeah, no. What I'm saying is, so we could quite simply say that the elicited psychic ability, when they return to this world,
So like
is removed, blocked.
an inverse chaos walking thing. That movie where like when you go to the planet, everybody can hear your thoughts. It's like an inverse version of that, a psychic dampening planet.
Mm-hmm.
The Elithid's powers don't work here. Yeah.
They just come back with like really good sign language.
Like
But
really,
that's
really
fine, like,
interpretive dance.
nothing against them attempting to communicate with people. It's the fact that there are, psychic parasites that's a concern.
Do we know that?
I don't think he was necessary. Like, so if MD knew that, it'd be Vanguard, and we can answer that now. Vanguard, do you want to roll? I don't know, something that you think you would have learned.
History?
Sure, we'll do that. Do you want to roll that?
It's an 18.
Yes, you would have learned that from the GIF.
Oh, yeah, I mean, definitely I got at
Yeah.
least something. And also, I would point out, we didn't get an explicit they tadpole people, but Cynthia was like, yeah, don't eat their food.
Yes.
Don't eat their food.
But I think like Vanguard could put together all the clues and quite comfortably say that they will infect people that way, right? So yeah, that's how they procreate. I think that's something that Gith would have happily shared with you as like a physician helping them over time. And obviously with Cynthia's little, don't maybe eat their food. You could be like, well yeah.
If I had doubts about what the Gith said, I think Cynthia indicating that also would be sufficient confirmation.
You could always bring her back and just get her to fight on your side again, right? It's like, you thought you got to rest, Cynthia, but guess what? Fight for us again.
No.
From the wording of the spell stuff, like, and I know...
And bring them back from the dead, sorry.
Well, it's more that, like, it says if you wish for a legendary magic item, it might just teleport you to that item present in the
Are you trying to call her an item?
I'm saying that if we wished for her to be alive, might that just, like, suck her out of the dragon?
You know?
And that would probably make her very unhappy.
Or wherever her physical remains are.
Right, yeah.
Listen...
So that's that had been going through my thoughts. I then considered, could we wish for the ring, like the last ring? Because if that then undid the spell that gave us the wish ring, that would stop us from being able to cast the wish. So where would the paradox lie?
So what Fleabite's saying is, if you use a wish to get the previous ring back, right, the one that was called Seclusion, would that then mean that getting the wish ring never happened? Because you would needed to have used Seclusion to get the wish ring, which means you couldn't have used the wish ring to get Seclusion back.
Yeah.
I think what would happen, Fleabite, you'd just explode.
That does not sound like a stable paradox to me.
Or
we'd either still have two wishes or one wish.
No, what would happen is a god would stop the wish happening. Because
and then we still got two wishes.
Do that. No, we're talking counterspell levels of, nope. Yeah.
Okay, then we still have one wish.
Yep.
And then we can unwish the counterspell.
as Keldrath to Vanguard, in your instructions from your deity, what was your actual instruction?
Let's side-eye him a little with that. He wasn't so specific. Afraid he rarely communicates directly, and when he does, he's perhaps you've heard the saying, God works in mysterious ways.
Yes, I have. And you have already indicated you wouldn't want to just wipe the Illithids out. But what if the wish was for knowledge. The knowledge of where the illicit came from and how to end the threat, with the addendum that whatever will end the threat, the wish will give it to you. So you would get, would the knowledge be enough?
Now, I don't know if you'd read the wish text, but that does put you at risk to just volleying Vanger into some unknown library.
Yeah. It could literally just send me to wherever the answer is. And moreover, I think we have to consider the possibility that the wish spell being itself a way for that to happen might just take that as alright, so do it.
But ultimately, would that clear your conscience if that was the only way of eliminating it? This is what I'm trying to get to at the moment. You've got the ring in your hand. Given that to me or Fleabite, we might just say, get rid of them. You, at the present time, you're the person that has said you're not willing to wipe them off the planet, out of this world. If the only way to eliminate that threat, and the ring told you that that was the only way to eliminate that threat.
If the only way, if wholesale slaughter is the only option, then I'd have no choice. I could ask it, just for instance, to
instill you with the knowledge to eliminate the illicit.
Could, for instance, ask that. Aye. No guarantee I'd like what I heard, but...
Yeah, and what does it replace if it gives you that knowledge? It's all the random things you need to consider when you're asking it to mess with you physically.
It's just a scroll where your brain should be.
So are you saying it was maybe okay, if you...
I'm merely suggesting that you need to look at how the wish spell has cautioned you against very certain approaches. Like, for example, wishing for something to kill the Gith, or sorry, the Illithid even, like, might just give you a dagger. Right?
No, but I wouldn't... I would be very cautious with my wording.
Oh yeah, no, like, and as I said, I don't intend to screw you over when it comes to wording. I will like work with you with the intention behind it, but
if I were going to do it, I would probably say something like, kill every living illithid on this world now. That's a big ask, I realise.
It is a big ask, but...
And it's still a half measure.
Yes, because there are more. But it might not be able to affect ones that are in other worlds anyway. Right?
Or are you just worried about undead illithid?
Also, undead illithid is a distinct possibility, but I don't think it's the main threat, really.
Yeah, I'm more worried about potential just more migration.
Like if they don't phone every, say, 5 days, home, do they send a buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got an independent state.
You do have two. You get two wishes, though. Remember, right? So you could literally, right? I'm not saying you should do this, right? This is just me as a potential player whispering in your ears. Kill all the illithid that threaten this world, right? If you want to be edgy about it, and then send the Gith home. Or again, wording to that effect, right? For those wishes. That is something you could do. But is it going to fix your problem?
I would say just no, in that sending the Gith, Zerai, and Yankee home doesn't solve either of their problems, really.
But does it solve your problems, is what I asked?
Yeah.
No.
Well, like I think that's kind of a Vanger problem, and I think you would see that as it's not really helping.
Would Fleabite send himself home if he got hold of the ring?
So there,
Yeah.
I'm saving some of that for the wrap-up chat.
Okay. Okay.
Because I don't want it to influence characters in
Yeah.
the moment.
No, just pretend I never said anything. Yeah, so final thoughts
my
then,
God.
folks. Final thoughts on this before we move into like ending the session, because we are a bit over now. But yeah, what are our final thoughts on this scene?
My thought is that Vanger needs to have some sort of permission to be able to just wipe the illithid off the face of the planet. Within him,
Hey, great
within
father,
his own.
genocide just once,
I
please.
honestly am right. I am thinking basically exactly the same thing, Chris. My thought was essentially Vanger might literally just say something like, "Make it as the Great Father wills," and just let God take the wheel, as you said earlier.
Yeah.
But that might not really work mechanically.
Depends what the true will of the great father is.
And also, it means that Ryan now has the fucking RP of God.
Oh, that's fine. Everybody in the world gets a beard.
Okay, that's
Everybody,
Everybody, even the
Oh
illithid.
yeah.
males,
That's
females,
Everybody.
Um,
Yeah. Mimics.
dragons
yeah.
with a beard.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
Or I suppose you could do something like, if the Great Father wish it, then
But no, Vanger wishes it. So the great father doesn't wish it.
You said that gods can just like nope a wish.
Well, if you were a god in D&D, right, and somebody was like, I wish there was no gods, are you going to let that happen?
Mm-hmm.
No. Right?
Might be sick of being a god.
Maybe. But what if you're the god of loving being a god? Right?
Can the god of being sick of being a god counterspell your counterspell?
Probably. If they've got a reaction.
My point is just
Mm.
that if it was the Great Father's will, he would do it anyway. And we wouldn't.
you can't always act so directly, right?
Why?
I mean,
Because
this is why
gods can't, or
this is why Vanger's here.
or settings don't work.
Yeah. And everybody plays gods.
Because there has to be a
Yeah.
story. That's why.
Yeah, so the Great Father's will
Sorry.
is pretty much Vanger here. So
Yeah, I suppose Vanguard. It would be a cop out considering he's been set as an instrument of.
you
the
would
Great
just
Father's will
hear
for-
the tannoid come on going, keep gaming. It means gambling. And the Grand Casino that is this game. So, yeah, I don't think you could pass it off to your god. I'll just say that.
no,
Mostly
that's
because you
fair.
are kind of the reason that the Great Father's involved at all. Right? Like, as in, you are his extension.
Yeah.
So really, you making this wish would be... Like, he'd stop you if he didn't want you to do something, right? In theory.
That's fair.
So there is that. Like, you could interpret it that way. We haven't spoke a lot about the Great Father motivationally,
Yeah.
which I think's been good. To be fair, I think the vagueness of it's better. But yeah, genocide's a big ask of anybody, just in general. But what's the alternative plan? Is it make all illithid super friendly, happy, fun time?
I mean, even that is still ethically.
Yeah.
Eh.
Make all illithid do what Fleabite says.
Oh god.
I.
Make Fleabite the only
Make
creature on this
everyone
planet with
do
any
what
psychic
Fleabite
ability.
says.
What about wishing for the power to destroy them?
Again, the knife.
The power, though, right?
Your
Because there's
muscle
no
grows
way
slightly. You gain
as we're
plus one strength.
You get
Yeah, like, but it's not, there's no
One
way
big
we're
arm.
sufficiently powerful to do it right now, right?
Dunno, have you ever fought one? You haven't.
Never fought all of them.
No.
But we don't know how many there are.
Yeah. Exactly. And remember,
We know there's at least 9.
arguably 10.
Presumably.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Like, arguably 10.
Fuck.
But also, you also know that you did wander through the palace a good bit, and there did only seem to be one in the palace. Granted, you've seen the bodies, or you've technically seen 2 bodies, right? One dead, one alive. In the palace.
I think we need to put a lid on this till next time. I think I need to think about this.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna.
I could give it to one of you two, Keldrath. I think you probably make a reasonable decision. But would Vanguard do that? And would Keldrath want that? Fleabite, no offense, do not trust you with this at all.
I think I would be offended if you did.
It would have meant you'd roleplayed it wrong, yes.
The thing is, ultimately, from Keldrath's point of view, I don't think I have a problem with the Illithid. It wasn't the Illithid that destroyed the monastery or killed my friends.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Gith. My hatred of the Illithid comes from you guys, because you know more about it than I do, that they chased the Gith and the Githzerai. You know what I mean? I don't think I would be the right person for that decision, because I'd have to take us back to when things were happier. When was that? You know what I mean? So my fear of 10th is of the Illithid, of everything else, is instilled from you guys. So I don't know if that would work. You know, does that make sense? Or maybe that's why it should be me.
Because you're less biased.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't give me wishes. I don't want them. You imagine this was reality and you had that wish to do.
It would be horrific.
You would be. Everything would be all about self. And in the game at the moment, this isn't about self. This is about self. This is about the world we live in. And that's what makes this difficult. What is better for the world, not just for Eldrath? That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad, because I'm talking myself around in circles here.
No, it does. It makes sense to me. 3 seconds. What I'm doing just now is... Let me just fix this. Go. So I've made a wee tab. Let's just put it as wishes. There's a new tab at the end. I'll move it in front of the NPCs, because the NPCs never gets updated. So right. So there you go. Please use this through the week. It may be worthwhile.
Okay.
This was the same sheet I gave my Friday gang when they got a hold of one.
And see, why could it be Lyco that got a wish?
Right. So I think we just have the 3 of you staring at each other, twitching a little bit, like just looking at the ring in your hand, just like moving it over and over again, as if. But what do we do first? And we end the session officially there. We move into goals very quickly, because did any of them happen?
Well, when you say happen.
So, we haven't freed the brew from the Illithid, but you could have. We haven't ascertained the relationship between the Illithid and the brew leadership yet. We haven't met with Zafim. We've not securely got out of Barra City, but again, potentials. Self-sufficient dragon stuff, obtain a new staff. Well, no, sadly. arrange for meeting with her. So none of them, right? So are we changing any goals?
I could suggest adding one.
Yeah, please do.
Is it make a wish?
What are we thinking?
I phrased it that way for a reason because I haven't quite decided what
Okay.
the appropriate way to deal with the problem is.
Okay, so for those at home, the new suggestion is yeet the illicit. Okay, yeah. I assume that's from Staccato.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
not just left one and just go
Mm-hmm.
yeet.
You just hear the giant words of Fos Roda across all of Staccato.
Remember those memes?
Yeah.
Those were the days.
Any other changes? Oh god.
I could have had a bitch and staff, but I chose not to.
Ultimately,
Still good.
all those they're all useless because this one wish is going to eliminate the need for any of them.
Mm. Only if you make it. So
Does that make sense again?
100% does, but only if you actually make a wish. All of them are very relevant if you struggle to
Don't
decide.
make a wish. Yeah, exactly.
None of yous asked this, right? But why did they only use one?
Because our assumption is they created the dragons and the dragons destroyed them. So why would you risk it again?
Yeah, that's sort of what I was saying. That it doesn't have to be, or it could be that it is always a bad thing, or it could be a bad thing if it's the dragons, and then also if it was the if there's a more illithic connection, then it could be something more to do with them, like eating themselves off world.
There is only one story in the world where wishes have been a good thing, and that was Aladdin. You know what I mean? Every other story about genies and bottles and wishes and things like that, there is no good ending to a wish.
Yeah, be careful what you miss. You might get it.
Mm-hmm. So, any other changes to goals? With that in mind.
No.
Anger?
No.
Okay. Cool. Happy with that. So yeah. I think I'm going to award you all XP, because that was a really fun session. I'm not going to lie.
Yay.
Like
10,000?
no, but I think 2,000's reasonable. 1,000 per potential wish.
58400. That puts us on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, I do like doing encounter XP as well, and this was a fun encounter. You could have took loot and ran. So yeah.
Yeah, we actually had to grapple with things. Like some sort of actual people with agency in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Actually sitting here wishing we'd just have taken it.
Oh, well, if that's one of them, that's easy.
Mm-hmm.
I wish for a gun. No.
You become an artificer, you'd hate that.
I would. That would be terrible.
Okay, so now the thing that we've not done yet, naming the session. I suppose I wanted to just get goals nipped in the bud there.
I have a suggestion.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a very obvious one.
I'm going for something slightly less obvious.
You could resurrect some of these people. The mystery box is also great. It's so like us. Like, was it Turn the Dwaynes Against Us? Is like the worst title.
I think this is also good because it applies to both the mystery box and the ring.
Yeah.
This is the obvious one that I don't really like, but someone has to put it.
Also that one from Princess Bride. As You Wish. Any suggestions, Chris? Or are you still?
No, not really. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's not a common dilemma, mind you, but the two-wish dilemma.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Two-ish. That sounds a little like an episode of The Big Bang Theory. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh god.
Hmm.
Well, I got a bunch of ones. So I got Halls of Stone, the Cradle, the Mystery Box. It could be anything. Careful what you wish for, as you wish. The two-wish dilemma. A wish too far. Great Genasi works. Any other suggestions and or votes? A wee cheeky self-vote there. Let's see.
Yeah. Oh man. Fuck it, I'm a self-voter. I'm a notorious self-voter. I'll do it also.
And you know what? So will I.
Oh my god.
Oh, in that case, so. For me, it's got to be a mystery box.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just.
It is a good title.
It's what I would have picked myself.
Mhm.
So.
Okay. We'll pop that in. So the mystery box. Right. Wrap up chat time. Banger, do you want to start us off? Since you're holding the ring.
Yeah. Okay. Well. What indeed the fuck? I was honestly the term analysis paralysis we used many times in various RPs, but this wasn't even analysis paralysis. This was literally a perfect example of the tyranny of choice, because once you get a ring that can do basically anything, you then have everything as an option, and that is terribly intimidating, and it's also a lot of pressure on the character.
Yeah.
And there is also an element of like, as Chris said, Keldrath doesn't have quite the same relationship to the Illithid that we do.
Well, primarily that you
Fleabite-
do, right? Because even Fleabite has like
Yeah.
little to no experience with the
If
Illithid.
Fleabite's sort of his
Like-
journey's been a lot more tied in with like Cynthia, really.
Yes, but the journey was started because of the ship over Little Valinor,
Mhm.
which we didn't know was Illithid at the time, but
Yeah.
we now.
Sure.
So I agree, but there is slightly more.
Yeah, I'm not saying that obviously it wouldn't, but there are also there are other reasons why it's sort of fairly natural for it to fall to Vanger, but it is also difficult when you have to think of his sort of conscience and his beliefs as
Yeah.
limiting factors. Because I don't want to just murder hobo it up, even if that might actually be a legitimate solution in this instance.
Man, we should have called the session Weapon of Choice.
We should have called the session Christopher Walken. We should have called the session I'm Christopher Walken out of here! With the ring. I don't know. That was fun. It was stressful. We just spent the first sort of half of the session like going, do we want to get rid of this cool shit that we could use in favor of something that might potentially be far more significant? And when we decided to make that sacrifice, we were afforded with an even more crippling choice.
Yep, be careful what you choose, kids. Yeah.
It's tough. I think it's so much harder as well when you meet and speak to the enemy and you can see them as living beings with a mind and a soul, I'm sure. When they're just abstract monsters that other people have told you about how horrible they are, it's so hard to then work your way to going like, well, God said kill them. Guess I gotta.
Yeah, because like you've seen like no like harm done by the illithid at all.
Yes.
The only thing is, we do have an implication that something's gone down in Little Battle.
Yes.
Yes, from a
So we
drunk in
And
Evershed.
we also have the implication that something is really amiss here.
and that would be Chekhov's drunk in Evershade.
Yes. And yeah, like it is unusual, right? Like obviously there is the Gith wouldn't be so against them if there wasn't something there, right? Unless all of the Giths Sarai lied to Vanger, right?
Yeah. But it also seems to line up with the sort of things that we've heard from Cynthia. And the fact that we've seen suspiciously quick to obey servants among the Baru, and the deferential treatment they get, and the way that they've basically completely dropped their social customs immediately when told to by the Illithid. It all reads a whole lot like they don't have a choice, or they don't have much of a choice.
Yeah, it's like not quite Uncanny Valley, but I guess maybe there is elements of that like around Barris currently.
It's rough. It's really rough, and I'm going to struggle with this actually.
Yeah, it's a big choice. It's a big choice.
But I did enjoy the strain. Like it is rough. It is a big responsibility, and the game sort of hinges on it to an extent. And yeah, it's a lot. And so, and I do think Vanger's not the kind of guy who's going to make the choice just unilaterally, unless he was absolutely convinced like he had to make the choice immediately, or like Fleabite was just going to leap in the ring. I think he's obviously learned to trust Fleabite to quite a degree. He's not necessarily always trust his judgment, but he's clearly learned to trust him. Because I think those are two very different questions. I do think it's an interesting question. Like, had X, Y, or Z still been around, who would have been in this position? And honestly,
imagine Callum being here for this.
I can't imagine that could have. That's a thought, isn't it?
Well, he's not that bad.
Imagine a dare with the ring.
I wish to be king.
Yeah, like that could not end well.
I think he would have said to him, like everything that Von Rune has, he wants. That's what he would probably wish for.
Probably not the worst guy to actually have.
Hey, not the
final
worst.
say, because he might make the choice that other people would struggle over, and he's not necessarily any more likely to choose insane things than some of the more benevolent characters.
Yeah, I think that's very even just
as insane as the benevolent. I'll take that. But
it's like, I don't think I don't think that Vanger is any more not Vanger. Sorry, Fleabite is any more likely to do something just completely out there than an Adair would be.
I agree, because I think Adair would be very likely. And I think
I think he's like 100% the most likely of anyone that I have been with in this group to do something just stupid.
Even more than Cass?
Yes.
Okay, that's I like
narrowly.
That. Yeah, I was gonna say that's just because of the way Cass was with Von Rune. Cass was ballsy with Von Rune.
Yes, well that's the thing, but there's a difference between being a fucking idiot.
Hey, he was a very well dressed idiot. He paid a lot for his fancy clothes.
You know what? I was a fan.
Adair, you were very fun. Please come back.
Yes, absolutely.
Throw
100%.
Throw your hat in the ring, as it were.
That was It's been a difficult session in terms of the choices we've been confronted with, and
yeah,
I am looking forward to next session. and I'm going to probably be quite stressed out again.
Yeah, I'm glad that the choice had the weight I wanted it to, quite frankly.
Can I also just say that, like, even though they didn't obviously like match 1-to-1 to us, it was nice that they did feel like there were some fairly natural options for all of us in the weapons and the items.
These are quite a fairly diverse like build though as a group. It's easy.
Yeah, but
which is
it
nice.
also meant that we all kind of had to think about, I'm giving something up, rather than just having one of us like, but I want my +9 staff of Ultra Fireball, and everyone else was like, I don't give a shit with these gloves. You know, it was like Fleabite obviously was very intrigued by that ring because of its psychic properties, made perfect sense. And it also made sense that, like, you've got, monks aren't necessarily big weapon users, but here's a weapon he could use that thematically fits with his nature for Keldrath. So it wasn't like there was just, druid staff that Vanguard might want, or psychic ring. There was something that we could all be tempted by, even if there was also some stuff that wasn't necessarily particularly relevant to our characters.
Yeah.
But there was something there to make the choice a choice.
Yeah, there was something to lose, basically. Yeah.
Exactly. So I like that, and I did like, of course, that we all did feel a degree of temptation. I did think it was quite. I loved the idea of trying to contact the ring, and I'm sorry that didn't work out.
Yeah, it was
I
definitely
guess it probably would require attunement.
I guess we'll never know at this point.
If it was even in there, of course.
Be a pretty big decision to be stuck in a ring for eternity, right? Who would do such a thing?
I mean, being stuck in a box any better?
Yeah, I suppose. Anything else, Finger?
No, I think I'm about saying my piece.
Okay, yeah, good. Glad you enjoyed it. Keldrath. So that was a tough one for you.
Yeah, I hate having characters with a conscience.
Why didn't we?
Sometimes I wish we would
just...
Why can't we all just be rogues who are all in it really for themselves? No, we've got to build ourselves with a character.
I agree. I'm going to make my next character an actual bastard. I've had some sort of cynical, willing to get down and dirty characters. I've not made anyone actually bad yet. I think I'm going to do that in future.
But it's something I said last week, and it's something I kind of believe. I know I put it into the chat about your alignments and things like that. I think after you've made your character, your alignment goes out the window because you do try and fit in with a group. Even Fleabite, to a degree, has become a gentler rogue. You know what I mean? Because whenever I first started, that staff and that ring would have went in his bag of holding and he'd have just buggered off. You know what I mean? That's the way I felt at the beginning of it being introduced to him. And he just...
It's been through a lot since then, to be fair.
Exactly. No, definitely. And that's... You walk into a game... I certainly did with my character being... the monk lost in a monastery looking for the guys who destroyed it. That was my only mission in this. But the mission's grown. The mission's changed by meeting the team, by losing members. And your alignments change to fit in with the group you're with. And that's the problem here. Fleabite, one of his missions was to get Vanguard to make the first strike. It doesn't always have to be a negotiation. Perfect example here. You know what I mean? Yeah. We're still trying to force that through.
It's less of an alpha strike and more of an omega strike, really, isn't it, this one, though?
Exactly. Yeah. It's strange how the characters have developed, but we still get to a place where the right decision here is to wipe them out with this one wish. And I don't think any of us will actually do it. Not that bluntly.
Which means you're playing your characters well, right? It means you have made people you actually think have like opinions about this stuff that's going on in the world, which is good. These things have weight.
Yeah, indeed.
Imagine like you were the people that just wiped out an entire like species. Like, how would your characters feel after that, right? Like, they're like, well, we kind of did we save the day, or are we just now just as bad as they are? You know.
For you, it was sorry. For you, it was the day you wiped out a species. For Fleabite, it was a Tuesday.
Rats are very bad for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've put my wish in.
Yeah. Okay.
My wish is already in there. It's the only logical thing I can see, and
Two purchases at the same time, yeah.
I wonder who suggested that one.
I just glanced over that. So it's, I don't know. It's we're putting ourselves in. We know what the mission. Well, Vanger knows what his mission is.
Yes.
And ours was to get, I don't know, vengeance over the brew for me. I didn't know anything about them being forced onto this world by...
You mean the Gith? Sorry.
Yeah, illicit.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, the Gith. Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. There's a bunch of
Yes.
made-up races. Don't worry.
Yeah.
That's the best
has
part,
been
right? Like obviously your character wouldn't have much information, and obviously you saw these creatures attack your like home, right? Your monastery, and then obviously be angry at that. They killed who you know, and then you go and they go, oh, they're doing this because they're not where they should be. They've been driven here. They are angry too. They are me.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm. It's good.
But again, from my perspective, we still, as a group, and only as a group, we still don't know enough about the illicit to make an elimination decision.
Yeah.
Why are the illicit doing what they do? What's pushing them down this road? Too many questions.
Yeah. And
Just
obviously
to
if you go
wipe
ask
out-
for them, you know, are you gonna comfortably wander around with this ring? Now that you know that
Yeah.
it doesn't even take an hour to attune it, just use it.
If someone could get it off you,
Yeah.
they have a wish.
Mm.
But they have two wishes if you're not used one.
Get the first wish, nobody can take this off without my permission. Right, I've secured the one wish we have left.
I mean, yeah, that's actually not the worst idea. It's not necessarily what I would recommend going for, but it isn't actually the worst idea.
Yeah, like that's the type of stuff my brain comes up with, right? How to safeguard power. So yeah, it's interesting. I think the other worry is you all know about this ring now, and the Illithid are inherently psychic, as you know.
Yep.
So yeah, going asking 10th a bunch of questions about intentions maybe might reveal more than you want. It's interesting. It's a
Yeah.
good dilemma to be in.
Exactly. We have opened up the proverbial can of worms.
Yep. Anything else, Kildress?
No, I think until next week. As I said, my wish is in. It's the only logical one I can think of. Come next Wednesday, that might change again, but at the present time,
When you wake up in a cold sweat at 5 a.m, feel free to add
I'm
more.
going to curse you.
Feel free to add more in the tracker.
You will hear me from wherever you may be.
Yep. Just riot to the sky. Oh, it's good. Yes. Fleabite.
Yes. So, one thing that I was quite happy, and I think it was entirely in keeping with all character and everything, and I hope my now commenting on it doesn't influence character decisions in future. But I was so glad that Keldrath asked Vanger about what his sort of deity thought would be a good idea, and like not what Fleabite thought his patron would be a good idea, and that sort of Fleabite's patron hasn't really come up because it's never really been relevant, sort of because Fleabite's not consequential enough for it to be relevant.
Mm.
I don't think people necessarily think of you in the sort of mechanical terms, though. Like, they don't go, "Oh, well, Fleabite must have a patron because he's a warlock. You just a
True.
weird, spooky rat person."
Mm.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it was fully in character, and I hope that doesn't my commenting on this doesn't change that.
Yeah, next week's
So I
verse.
don't think it'd be natural for us to ask that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's never come out. And I even said this to you. I was like, I don't even know if Fleabite's necessarily fully aware of his patron or not. Either. Just somehow getting abilities from them.
Our lack of knowledge about your class.
Just him. It has everything almost, right?
And I've sort of always put that down and said, like, because Fleabite is not very powerful and important. At the very beginning, like session 3, I think it was, when we did like the time skip, I updated, like I'd written my bio and then we did like an update to it. And I added a bit about the fact that Fleabite's patron expected that you'd either do something impressive or die quickly. And you surprised him by surviving and doing nothing. And that was just kind of because of lack of real capability.
Surely surprising your patron is itself impressive.
And so if you gave Fleabite ultimate power...
You do nothing with it.
Well, no. Like, does Fleabite change quite significantly?
In the eyes of his patron, you mean?
Yeah, and in his own mind, like, if Fleabite knows... Fleabite has no way of furthering the goals of his patron. But if suddenly Fleabite did, may have more pressing issues. So I think it's fine that Vanger holds on to them.
Noted.
I think the hint they're calling was the thing that brought him from where you know he's from probably shouldn't get like an alert notification that Fleabite's important.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, Vanger has no conception of a chaos god, but all it does, so that's fine. Even a minor one. No offense.
So, like, that was mildly rattling in my head, but also sort of thinking about motivations, like, why are we here? If you ever wonder such a thing.
What, in Blood Gulch?
Yes.
That was a nice, modern, up-to-date reference for young people.
You mean the Garden of Eden, surely, right? Oh dear. Wonderful Blood Gulch.
Sort of, this I think comes into sort of what Chris was saying about how we sort of create a character and then play the character in the group setting. That I sort of created Fleabite and his somewhat patron-led goals, but then when actually then in the group, and you know it's a different group, something I'd sort of attached Fleabite to quite strongly was the other character, Cognac, and we'd basically said that Cognac had, you know, when Fleabite had first appeared, Cognac had protected him, and this is sort of one of the only unconditional help that Fleabite had ever received. And so I had kind of attached a lot of Fleabite's motivations to Cognac's, and I'd sort of continued with it that he is kind of just enacting what Cognac would have wanted him to do.
Yeah, like kind of almost being like somebody Cognac could almost be proud of, you know?
Yeah. And that continuing to try and find a way to help little Malinor, ultimately.
Which I think is nice. It's a nice goal for Fleabite to have, is like, you know, because it is your home, right?
As much as Fleabite cares, I think, because Cognac sort of considered it home, I think and so I think that is where I try sort of to base the why is Fleabite actually still helping these people. It's because ultimately it's what Cognac would have wanted.
Yeah.
So as to how does a wish help that? What could we wish that would further that sort of line? It does bring us back to the ship over Little Valinor. We don't actually know necessarily the state of Little Valinor. I know we may have completely failed in that sort of goal already. We just don't know. And that does bring us back to the Illithid more so than the Gith. Sort of.
Well, I mean, the Illithid are the ones that have directly involved themselves with cities, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Gith haven't attacked cities, really. So yeah.
So I think for sort of being the the player that other then there's the player part of things where I don't want to just be the terrible person that tries to just sort of ruin the game of what I wish there was 1,000,000 Skaven here right now. And so I think that's a better way of going about it with the character.
I think so as well, because I did say that I am back in character gen. I am happy for you to
come
be.
up.
Yes, there is very few Skaven-y or Warhammer related things that will ever come up in this game that aren't just you. I was not willing to go learn a whole bunch of other lore. Yes.
So I think that's sort of where Fleabite's mind is at the moment. And if that means the Giga Strike against the Gith, then against the
Illithid.
The Illithid, then so be it. But then the whole thing with the Gith, the Illithid in the ring.
The maybe Illithid in the ring.
Chekhov's Illithid in the ring. It raises a very interesting point, on the origin of species there. Did the Illithid just sort of arrive and help the Genasi make the dragons, or did they arrive at a completely unrelated thing and the Genasi helped them figure out how to hop planets? Is that something? Because if the Gith also know that, then perhaps it's not as big a thing. If only we had learned everything about the Gith and had their memories implanted into one of us.
Yeah, if only. How could we get that knowledge? Maybe we could wish for it.
Or we just wish for the ring.
Oh dear. It's good.
So, and then also, I do kind of stand by what we're saying, that we kind of expected we would be able to achieve it without a wish.
I think that's a good point to say. Yeah.
We perhaps shouldn't get completely bogged down on wish, and it would be more important that our adversaries do not have wish than we have wish.
I actually do agree with that.
We thought we could beat them as they were. I don't know if we could beat them if they have 2 wishes.
Yeah, no, it's denying, and it's not just them, it's who else might get their hands on this. Denying others the wish is in and of itself extremely valuable, because if Richter decided he wanted to take it, are we confident we could stop him?
So it's almost something we can't even hold on to that much.
Yeah.
And it would be better to each have two burgers than for them to have anything at all, because they're probably smarter than us.
I don't know about that. They're all powered by me, so that's their limitation, sadly.
How wise it is to ask for burgers I'm unsure. I do like burgers. I like a lot. I like a lot of burgers. Many different variations and in many amounts. But I do think we should still try and use it as well as we possibly can. While I do also see the value in just making sure we fucking use it, just in case.
And I'll tell you
Because,
this
yeah.
now as the GM. I didn't give you 2 wishes for you not to use them.
Yeah.
Right? I'm gonna I know there's a lot of like legacy drama that comes with the wish spell from D&D.
Mhm.
Forget all that. Bin it all. Just deal with what you need to deal with it. Ignore all the GM's cackling behind his screen at how he gets to screw over the party. Nobody cares about that. Just
But 2 burgers, Ryan. 2 burgers.
yeah. But what if you are in the burger?
Then I get to die knowing it probably made someone else die.
Fair. I shut down a whole burger chain. Go me. Anything else, Fleabag?
And before I make a horse-related meat joke, that's all from me.
Yes, indeed. Thank you all for playing. That was a very, very fun session for me. I've been building to this for quite a bit. And yeah, it was nice to get to this stage and actually have the scenes have the weight I hoped they would on the players, because that's always the gamble you take when you write things as a GM. So yeah, my final thoughts mostly are I don't give you things to not use. So please make good use of them if you wish, or not. All puns intended, of course. Thank you all for playing. We're way past our time. Thank you to everybody who watched. Thank you again to Siren as well, as always. And say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Good